On this episode of the DTVC Podcast, Freddie Young from Full Moon Reviews is on, and we're looking at TC 2000, the Billy Blank's Bolo Young classic, directed by, or I don't know if it's directed by Jalal Merhi, but he definitely produces it. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. Also, I'd say about the first hour and a half or so, Freddie and I have a good conversation about kind of the movie industry going into 2026 and sort of the movies that are coming out this year, which ones we think will do well, which ones we think might struggle, and also some of the factors that might cause some to do well and some struggle. So it's a really great conversation. We also talk about, different demographics that are going to movies and what movies they might go for or not go for. So stay tuned for that as well. Really great conversation. And then like I said, probably about an hour and a half or so in, we get in on a TC 2000 and have a great time talking about that movie as well. The next week, we've got Todd Liebenow from Forgotten Filmcast on, and we are looking at Deadliest Prey, or Deadlier Prey. I think it's Deadliest Prey. It's the sequel to Deadly Prey, which Todd and I discussed Deadly Prey a couple of years ago. So really fun to kind of get back and discuss that one as well. Keep an eye out for that one next week. And then in 2 weeks' time, Will from Exploding Helicopter is back on, and we're doing another Nepo Babies episode. This time we're looking at Future Zone, I believe, with David Carradine. And then, because there's two, right? There's Future Zone and Future War. I think Future Zone with David Carradine, and then South Beach with Peter Fonda, but also it's a Fred Williamson movie. So we're looking at David Carradine and Peter Fonda as our Nepo Baby. So that'll be in 2 weeks. Will from Exploding Helicopters back on for another Nepo Babies. And then in terms of DTVC Extra, so I was saying how I didn't really have anything in mind for DTVC Extra, but or that I was maybe working on a long-term project maybe for DTVC Extra. Well, recently I was on Will's podcast to talk about White House Down, and he was like, he was surprised that I also hadn't seen Olympus Has Fallen. I've now seen both of those, and I was like, maybe I should do the Has Fallen series as a DTVC Extra, because the other two are available as well. So we'll see. We'll kind of see how this week shapes up, if I'm able to get a chance to watch both of those as well. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. We might have a DTVC Extra episode coming soon. And then with the YouTube channel, again, I'm still working on getting back to doing one of those. One thing I'm thinking about doing is maybe posting a couple of videos that were pinched, that were disallowed on YouTube due to copyright. I'm going to see if I can post them on my Substack, and if I can, that might be a good place for them to be, because when I posted them on Facebook, they disappear, right? It's like nobody ever finds them again when they're on Facebook. So maybe I can do that. We're going to try that. We'll see what happens. But again, you should be subscribed to the Substack, because that way you don't have to be on social media to find out what we're up to next. I post all of my social media posts on the Substack. Though actually, I'm trying to remember, did I post about my most recent review on there? I may have forgotten my most recent. I got to catch up on some of those. So, but ideally, we're going to try to get everything on the Substack as well. So hopefully you can follow us there as well. Now in terms of being on other people's podcasts, so I kind of did a bit of a marathon, 3 days of podcasting. I did 2 episodes of the Exploding Helicopter podcast. Again, that White House Down one, that's going to be his March 1st episode, so keep an eye out for that one. I did, and the other one, you can keep an eye out for the other one that I'm on as well. I'm not going to go over details about that one, because that one's going to be further in the future, but definitely White House Down. Keep an eye out for that one, March 1st. I was on All 90s Action All the Time to talk about Adrenaline Fear the Rush, the Albert Pyun, Christopher Lambert film, because All 90s Action with Scott Murphy, they always talk about Christopher Lambert once a year. So Adrenaline Fear the Rush was the 30th anniversary of that movie, so that's the one we discussed. So keep an eye out for that one. I think his February post, the one he just posted this month, was Skyscraper, which is a PM Entertainment classic. I can't wait to listen to that one. I think it just dropped when I was getting ready to record this, so I can't wait to listen to how that one goes. So it might be the March one, end of March. But yeah, keep an eye out. You should be subscribed to All 90s Action all the time anyway, so check that out. And then PM Podcast, I was on there again. I recorded with John and Mo Porn. Well, I think he's no longer Mo Porn, but from Drunk on VHS. So I think it was the first time I podcasted with Mo and John together since I was on Drunk on VHS back in like 2014. But really fun. We talked about Angel of the City, so really great conversation there. So keep an eye out for that. I think the upcoming episode of PM Podcast is going to be Final Impact that he did with the guys from Comeuppance. So I think ours will come after that. So just keep an eye out for that as well. But yeah, I've been busy. I've been on some other podcasts, so definitely check me out on some of those as well. Yeah, with the site, we just posted Judgment Day, Ice-T, Mario Van Peebles, a whole bunch of other names in that movie. There's a ton of people in it. It was written by Fred Olen Ray, directed by John Terlesky, has stunt work by Colas McKay, all kinds of people, names in that movie. So that was a really fun one to watch there. It's on Tubi if you want to check it out. It's like an hour and a half long. But yeah, tons of names, and I barely scratched the surface of the names in that movie. Yeah, it's just one of those fun ones. This Saturday, or this weekend, I should say, I was going to say we're going to finish off the month of February, but with how late I've been, it's probably going to be the first March post. But either way, we're going to be looking at Checkmate, Tubi original that has Lorenzo Lamas in it. So I haven't done Lorenzo Lamas in a while, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to do that. So keep an eye out for that this coming weekend. Yeah, I think that is everything except for my newest novel, Mark in Sales. Go check that one out. Kindle Unlimited, paperback. The link is in the podcast description. It follows Mark, a salesperson who has been selling cut rate health insurance to companies that are either trying to save money or just don't know any better. And he's really good at it. He's made his family a lot of money, but he's also not around a lot for his family, so he's missing out on them a lot. And he's discovering that the employees of these companies that get his insurance, they aren't doing so well. They're losing providers. They're having medical procedures that aren't covered. They're paying out the nose for things. So he's kind of at this point where he's at a crossroads. He's thinking, do I want to stick with this job, even though I'm really good at it and I make a lot of money? Do I switch to something else? And then as he's thinking this over, his company offers him the promotion that he's always wanted. So yes, that is Mark in Sales. So you can check that one out. Kindle Unlimited, and in paperback. The link is in the podcast description. All right, so why don't we have John from Miscellaneous Plumbing Fixtures playing our theme song, and then when we come back, Freddie Young from Full Moon Reviews and I will be on to talk first about the kind of 2026 in movies, what we see coming for that, and then TC 2000. Hey everyone, welcome back to the DTVC Podcast. As always, this is Matt here, and I am joined once again by Freddie Young from Full Moon Reviews. Welcome back, Freddie.
It's always good to be back, Matt. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Yeah, we're talking. We're going to be talking some Billy Blanks and TC 2000, which I think is going to be fun because I haven't talked Billy Blanks on the podcast in forever. I can't remember the last time. It may have been back in the old iteration, like in 2014. So it's been a little while.
We're talking about fair. This is my first time watching this. I've seen clips of this, but I've never seen the whole thing. This actually was my first Billy Blanks project. Period. I'm just like, I know who he was. I seen the workout stuff, but this was just something else. We'll have a fun conversation about this because I was just watching and going like, what is this? Like, what is this? But not in a bad way. It's not in a bad way. I'm just like, what is this though? Like, you can't make a movie like this anymore.
No, it's an absolute trip for sure. So yeah, so there's plenty to kind of sink our teeth into on that one. And one of the things is going to talk about. We usually do kind of a state of the movie industry, and we were kind of talking about at the end of last year when we were on for Silent Night Deadly Night. We were kind of talking about how the year kind of wrapped up, and it's interesting because I had this New Year's resolution that I was going to go to one movie in the theater a month. I was going to try to make it at least once a month because I think last year I made it to 5 movies. I think the 4 comic book or 3 of the comic book movies, right? I didn't go to Brave New World, but I did go to Thunderbolt, Superman. What was the other one? Fantastic Four. Yeah, and then I saw the Predator Badlands, and then we saw at Silent Night Deadly Night. So that was 5 trips. So I was going to see if I could make it 12 times, which I guess I could still make it. I could average one a month, but it's the middle of February and I still haven't made it to the theater yet this year.
Is there a reason why you haven't gone back?
Well, I was going to see the Statham one.
Oh,
And and I think what happened was that so I went up to New England because my brother got tickets to the Patriots game against the Texans, the second round playoff game. So I went up and saw my family, and I got sick. I also I went to see my one time going to see a New York Rangers game. I was able to get like a ticket for like $75, I think, with the sale, because they're always so expensive. And I was like right smack in the middle of the road, so I think I caught a cold there, and then it got worse, and so I was in bad shape health wise. I think that hurt, and I just it just never quite made it to the theater as much as I would have liked to have. The one I wanted to see was Shelter, the Jason Statham one. I don't know if you got to see that one.
I did see it. It's pretty mid. I would wait to streaming. It's a streaming movie, honestly. If you've seen one Statham film, you've seen them all
Right.
at this point. He's becoming the Liam Neeson of these action movies, to be honest with you. And I love Jason Statham, but it's like the same. He's playing the same role but a different job at this point. So it's. But he's good in it. I just thought it was just like, okay, well, this is the same thing I've seen in Beekeeper, same thing I saw in the one he did last year. I remember the name of
The Working Man.
year. The Working Man, that was it.
Yeah.
So pretty much same movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want it to be like because for whatever reason, the comic book movies, I kind of like make it a point for those where I'm like, okay, because I think I missed Brave New World last year, but that was the first. I think, well, I guess because there was the only other ones since then. I think were like or the Marvels and Deadpool and Wolverine. So it's not like there was a ton of comic book movies before that one.
Right.
But I I don't for whatever reason I think it's almost like I'm kind of like committed at this point because I've seen all the other ones that I feel like I've got to go see those. Like just that those I make those happen. The rest of them, it's like I have to do a better job, I think, of just being like, okay, it's a Saturday afternoon, I'm going to go see a movie or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, people are just going to see event movies.
Mm-hmm.
So like the comic book movies, I guess most of them are event movies at this point. I think like Doomsday is going to be a major box office draw. But we were talking off air, like it's going up against Dune 3, same weekend. With a title Doomsday, I guess, to kind of do like a Barbenheimer thing, which helped both films. Yeah, I don't know what the idea behind this is, what the strategy is, but I don't know if it's going to work for anybody. Because both have very niche fandoms, and I don't know if they intersect in any way. I mean, I'm going to watch both of them because I like both franchises, but I think Doomsday will do really well. I think Dune would probably, unfortunately, take a chunk out of that money. But I think that's what everybody is waiting for is Doomsday, just to see what Robert Downey Jr. comes and Chris Evans does coming back, which is kind of desperate, to be honest. But I'm curious to see what they do with the characters. So.
Yeah, and I wonder if prior to Deadpool and Wolverine, if they were already thinking about having all the original X-Men actors come back too, or if that was something where I guess they did kind of because they had Professor
Secret
X.
Wars. The Secret Wars was coming up anyway, so they had to do that.
Yeah, so I guess they must have come up with this because it felt like Deadpool and Wolverine was almost like this I don't know, like a thank you letter or like an appreciation to the early Marvel movies. And there was always this sense with the cinematic universe that they were like trying to distance themselves from that stuff initially. And I wonder if there was a sense of like, okay, you know what? Disney bought Fox. We own all the X-Men movies now. Like, let's pay tribute to those movies. And because, obviously, Wolverine in particular and Deadpool, those two were, I would say, probably out of all of the cinematic comic book characters or the adaptations, those two might be up there with the different Spider-Man characters, and I guess Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans.
I think that on Deadpool and Wolverine, I think that film really kind of showed that people want X-Men at this point.
Yeah,
I think people are just ready. I think the Avengers thing is kind of maybe getting old. And good for Channing Tatum because he's in Doomsday, so that Gambit role worked out for him.
Yes.
He wanted to play Gambit. He's getting to play Gambit, so good for him. But yeah, they're from what I've been reading, they're all in on this X-Men stuff. They're ready to talk about solo films for the X-Men, like already. I'm like, the movie hasn't even come out yet. Like that's kind of calmed down a bit, but it's like a Cyclops solo movie. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like Cyclops of all people. I mean,
Right. Right. Well, because I think the problem is with depending on what they decide to do with Cyclops, I wonder if maybe one idea is one of the problem with the first three X-Men movie was that they didn't know what to do with Storm because
yeah.
they couldn't not have Storm in the movie. But
Hmm.
Cyclops was the leader. That obviously, in the comic books, the way they did it was they had two separate books. They had one.
Right.
Uncanny X-Men was where Storm was the leader, and X-Men was the one with Cyclops was the leader. But they couldn't
Yeah.
do that in the movie. So then, Storm's character just took a back seat. I think she gets her redemption, I guess, in Days of Future Past. But for the most part, and I wonder if maybe that's that their mindset is like, okay, what if Cyclops leaves the X-Men and goes off and does a solo thing, and Storm stays and leads the X-Men, and maybe they can mitigate that issue.
Well, I think the Cyclops thing happened because the whole trailer thing they show with the
Oh yeah,
James Morrison with the Sentinel thing, that whole teaser trailer, and that was like very viral. So I think they saw that one. Oh, Cyclops is a big character. Let's make a movie about him. I think Storm, the best way to introduce her is through Black Panther
yeah.
because they're connected. And I think if I know Ryan Coogler's doing part three, I think she should be in part three.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you need to kind of, if you want to do these characters right, you have to kind of bridge out of the mutant stuff and kind of make them more like friends with outside heroes as well. Like they do with like Punisher and Spider-Man. I think that's kind of smart to do that because they're connected as well. If you know comic books, Punisher was his first issue was in a Spider-Man comic, so it's I think they're starting to kind of branch out and think about it a little better now. I think keeping these heroes kind of separate from each other is they realize that you kind of need to do these team up movies for people to come and see it. Like Deadpool and Wolverine, like you said, if Deadpool 3 was just without Wolverine would have done as well as it did, probably not.
Yeah.
So
Well, and to your point, I think the first Deadpool, they were originally going to have Wolverine in the first Deadpool, and
right.
Fox didn't want to pay the $10 million. I would imagine that $10 million would have turned into $100 million. I think it would have earned another $100 million if they had Wolverine in the film. I mean, and as it was, I think the budget was like $50 million for that movie.
It was like 80, something like that.
Yeah,
It was very cheap. It was really cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that just goes back to Fox's bad decision making at that time because they put 150 million into that Fantastic Four flop, and then the Apocalypse movie that they made, didn't do so great either.
Yeah. Yikes.
Right, and then Deadpool's in the middle, and that's the one they don't put any money on. Is Deadpool, and that's the one that was like, one of their best sellers all time.
Also, I think that Ryan Reynolds also wasn't a big star back then either. His star kind of faded at that point. I think that Deadpool kind of brought it back. So
Yeah.
they was like, okay, part two, we'll raise the budget. We'll give you more characters to play with. Juggernaut is in this one. So like, I think they gained more confidence in the character.
Well, because then the problem with the second one was they released it too soon.
Right before, yeah,
With Endgame, yeah, because
yeah.
or no, it was
No,
between
it was Infinity War. It
Infinity
was
War,
close to
right?
Infinity War.
Because
Yeah,
every other movie that came out between Infinity War and Endgame made more,
billion.
blew up, right? I mean, Venom made almost 900 million. Obviously, Captain Marvel made over a billion. Aquaman made over a billion.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, that bump at that time, the way the whole, you know, uh, all tides rise, or tides rising, all boats kind of thing. I mean, I think that was the things like everybody talks about, like, is there superhero fatigue? And I think it's almost more like the two Endgame, or the two Infinity War and Endgames, those two movies. It's not so much that people got fatigue. I think it created a bubble that was going to burst at some point because it was just too big.
I also feel like people saw that as like the peak, and
Yeah.
that was like the ending, the true ending, and I feel like all this other stuff is like spin-offs.
Yeah.
And I think people go, well, I could just watch this on Disney Plus, or I could watch it on video on demand. Or if there's word of mouth, they'll probably post it on YouTube or TikTok. So it's like, that's why like I hope like Doomsday. I mean, I don't know when it's released. I don't know if it's released in Europe first, like they usually do it. But I think those movies need to be released at the same time in every country, because I feel like if you do it like in Europe first, everyone's gonna watch it on YouTube. So like the whole Doctor Doom reveal, what Chris Evans gonna do in the movie, what the X-Men gonna do, how all these heroes are gonna interact, two Avenger teams in Doomsday. It's and how does it lead into Secret Wars? Because that's obviously the goal. It's a lot they could spoil out of this movie. That's my biggest concern because I feel like that's going to take a lot of the money away from these movies. And I feel like, same thing with Supergirl, same thing with the new Spider-Man's coming out. Like, we don't know anything about these movies at all. They're keeping it pretty much tightly wrapped, and people are going to be like, "Oh, we got to spoil this." And that's what people do.
Right, because that's the thing, right? Well, so here's the other thing that could alter that too is that I think one of the reasons why the comic book movies didn't do as well this year is that people in the rest of the world are sick of the United States, and
Not true, yeah.
yeah, and I mean I think it was big with Europe where they didn't care for Superman or Fantastic or any of those movies. They weren't interested, and I do wonder if the big comic book movies, I think it might be it's one of those things where globally it's a backlash to kind of everything American. Like you might get a situation where maybe Europe is they're tired of dealing with Apple and getting overcharged, or they HP Inc. It's one thing for us Americans to have to pay out the nose for HP Inc. But Europeans are like, well, why do we have to deal with this? Why do we have to use Facebook and everything? And I wonder if they're going to start maybe trying to make their own versions of things, whether it's Europe or parts of Asia, places like that. And the comic book movies might be one of the victims of that. That because or not just the comic book movies, but like American blockbusters in general. That like the whole Hollywood system, people might stamp that with the American stamp and say, yeah, we're boycotting all of it.
Well, I think it depends on the project because if you see something like Zootopia that like must be $2 billion,
Yeah.
mainly because of China alone.
Right.
I mean, it's an American product, but China loves that product. So, and then like Avatar, which didn't make 2 billion, but it made 1.5. So there's still interest there. That's why I feel like Doomsday is going to do very well because it has a whole diverse character roster. Like Shang-Chi's in here, so that's going to appeal to China.
Yeah.
Black Panther's going to appeal to the African Americans. It's going to be a whole bunch of different things. So X-Men is going to appeal to like older fans who love those movies. So I think they're playing it smart in that sense. I feel like we need to know more about the story. I think that the trailers, I think they're going to really dictate it. Like I feel like we're not talking about this. Like the Mandalorian and Grogu trailers that have been coming out, really terrible trailers.
Right. Yes.
So I'm like, the movie could be fantastic, but through the trailers, I'm like, who is this for? Yeah. So is it gonna make money? I don't know. So it's like, and then Supergirl's like, oh, very punk rock Superman, but it's kind of like, do we really need this right now? Kind of like mentality. So it's weird. The audience right now is very fickle. So I'm not sure like where they're gonna lean to. Like the house may make $500 million.
Right.
Right. So it's like, who is the audience right now? Is it just women that are going to see these movies multiple times? Is it kids even going to see these movies multiple times? Unless it's like Zootopia. Like I don't know. Like I don't know how these comic book movies are going to do, especially when you have Supergirl and Spider-Man a month apart from each other. That's not enough time.
Well, because
right.
Well, because that's what happened over the summer, I think, is that,
right, yeah.
And I mean, I think the other thing too is that Sinners, nobody expected Sinners to be as big, and that cut into the Thunderbolts, I think, and then Jurassic Park was bigger than people were expecting, and that cut into Superman. But then there was like almost like a domino effect where people were late on Superman and ended up skipping on Fantastic Four. Because I remember when I went to see Fantastic Four in the theater, everybody was going to see Superman. And when I went and saw Superman, everybody was going to see Jurassic Park. So yeah, I mean, there's probably some dark horse movies that we're not even. I mean, I don't think anybody could have predicted Sinners would, essentially hurt the gate of a Marvel movie. But it did. I think it legitimately did. So that there's definitely that part of it too. The other thing, though, I think in terms of Doomsday, to your point about kind of everybody wanting to, it has a piece for everybody. I think the last Marvel movies that have been good have all been these kind of nostalgia fests, like Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man No Way Home, and even to some extent, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
Yeah, because that one still pulled in like 900 million, and I don't think you'd expect
it was super close to $1 billion.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason why I did is everybody wanted to see Patrick Stewart, everybody was curious about Haley Atwell, and everybody was curious about John Krasinski. And so it was kind of a fascinating thing. I mean, I think for me, what made that movie was the America Chavez. I can't remember the actor's name who played her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was something like I also like Scarlet Witch as a villain.
Yes.
Was a novel thing too. So and then Sam Raimi directing it. It's like, oh, this is the guy who did Spider-Man. You know, that's what people think of. The first thing they think of, like, you know, I think of Evil Dead first, but they think of Spider-Man first. Yes. So that's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was joking with somebody that when everybody has their list of their favorite, you know, their Sam Raimi movies ranked, the bottom one is always For the Love of the Game, and then everything else is kind of.
I forgot he directed that.
Well, it didn't cross my mind. He's from Detroit, so that's why he did that, because I think he was a Detroit Tigers fan. But that doesn't, you know, it's still, you know.
Speaking of Sam Raimi, watch Send Help. That's a great movie.
Yes.
Every time to go to the theater, it's definitely seen that.
Okay. All right. I saw the commercials for that one. I was curious about it. Okay.
So yes, it's very good. It's one of the best movies of the year.
Okay. All right. Maybe I'll check that one out then, because I'm very curious about it. I mean, I saw like mixed things about it, but I would say mixed things. One of the things, I don't know about you, but when I see people talk about movies online, a lot of times I kind of go based off of them versus the review. It's like, okay, so if I know what that person's taste is, then I can kind of gauge their feelings on it. Not to say that they're wrong or right for liking it or not liking it, but it's more like, okay, if somebody doesn't like it, that might mean I like it, you know, based off of, you know, their tastes.
Right. But yeah, it's if you love horror, Sam Raimi it's perfect up your alley. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't seen the Evil Deads in a while. It's been a long time since I've done a rewatch of those. So.
Yeah, there's definitely Raimi-isms in the movie. So like the way the camera moves, all that stuff, yeah, it's definitely there. It's like, oh, okay, this is pretty much Evil Dead on an island. So it's like, oh, this is cool. This is definitely a Sam Raimi joint. So I'm in. Yeah, I definitely recommend that. That's one of the best movies of the year.
Yeah, and it feels like this time, the current climate economically in the country, where it seems like there's a lot of like C-suite or management people that are bragging about laying people off, and you know, all that kind of stuff, that it almost feels like the time is right for a movie like Send Help.
Yeah, and it definitely plays into that. It definitely plays into power dynamics and just men and women in general, like how they interact with each other, especially now. You know, he's the male character is pretty much like a frat bro rich boy, and she's pretty much like the underappreciated office worker, and then once they're on the island, the dynamics just shifts and it becomes a different movie, and you kind of side with both, you kind of side with one or the other, and then it switches, and it's like it's a ride.
Yeah, then maybe I'll keep an eye out for when that one's available, so I can get over there and check that one out, because that sounds like a fun one for sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's gonna. I think we were saying this last year that it was gonna be an interesting year, but I think this year what's going to be fascinating, I think, is just sort of, you know, how this slate plays out as the year goes on, combined with what's happening just sort of in the United States right now, where on the one hand, I think, like, for example, like a Doomsday could play out the same way that Spider-Man No Way Home was, where it was like people were just done with the pandemic. And everybody, it was almost like that was like the movie that sort of broke the pandemic for everybody, where there was like, okay, everyone to the theater. And I do wonder if just in America right now, where people are going to be like, okay, you know what? I just got to get out to the theater and see something, or I just got to go do, you know, it's like some of these movies might play right at that time. And I almost feel like Doomsday could be that one. I don't want to think about, you know, with how bad things happen so fast here in this country, I don't even think about where we're going to be in a year, but you know.
Especially at the midterms, that's going to be an interesting time.
That's right. That too.
Yeah.
That too.
Plus the movie, I think the movie supposedly is rumored to be like almost 4 hours. And I'm like, that's a lot of time to be in the theater. Dune also is probably going to be like 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like this coming out the same year. Like how are people going to pick this? Like I don't know what the strategy is for this. Like, what are they going to boost each other? Are they going to hurt each other? Like, it's weird. I don't understand why they're doing this. Why not have one come out in November?
Well, because they want it. They're competing, right? It's
it's definitely they're competing, but it's just like you're hurting each other at the same time. But
and I wonder too if this Netflix deal goes down for Warner, if
it's happening, because now Paramount's back in, so we don't know
exactly. So we don't know which one will get it. But I mean, if Netflix gets it, I wonder too whether, because one, I wonder if they will not give Dune the same kind of time in the theater that a movie like that normally would get. And two, if that is the case, if they're thinking of pulling it sooner, like maybe 30 days or something like that, like it's going to go quicker, if people they'll feel more of like a pressure to watch that one and know that Disney's going to leave Doomsday in the theater longer. Like if that might play into their decisions. That's if Netflix, like you said, if Netflix ends up making this purchase, and if they treat Warner Brothers theatrical releases like that.
Also, they're at a disadvantage because I read that Dune has all the IMAX screens, and then Doomsday only has the Dolby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so do people prefer IMAX or do they prefer Dolby? So that's also gonna be like a play there. So if you want to see Dune on the big screen, you gotta go to IMAX.
Yeah.
But Doomsday you can see on a regular screen, but you might have the best sound. Yeah. So it's interesting that they're pretty much playing each other. Like, okay, who's better at this than the other?
Right.
It's very interesting. I'm like, I think it's bad, but I'm fascinated by this marketing and this way they're doing the business. Like, okay, you're not messing around, Warner Bros. I see you.
Right. Well, because what's going to happen is, I think what's happened with the Marvel side of it is that, like we were talking about with Endgame and Infinity War, they had this large audience of kids that were born like kind of late 80s, early 90s, and they were completely invested. I think part of the reason why Captain Marvel did so well was that I think people saw it once, and then before they went to Endgame, they wanted to see all of Marvel movies again. They wanted to watch every single one of them. And I think Captain Marvel was still in the theater, and they went and saw it in the theater a second time. And so that audience, they're older now. I mean, that was 2019. If they were in their mid to late 20s then, they're in their 30s now. Some of them have kids. I've noticed when I go to see those, like it seemed like when I went to the two Marvel movies, Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, it seemed like Fantastic Four was the one that cohort got the babysitter for. That was the one that they said, okay, we're going to make it a point to see that one. And I think that same cohort's going to do the same thing for Doomsday, but they can't get the babysitter for 2 4-hour movies, right? So they're going to have to choose which one or the other. But then the sci-fi fans, I think there's that sci-fi fan that doesn't really see Marvel the same way. They're not like it's, And so for them, again, if they're that same age cohort, I think a lot of times they might be older, maybe more like an our age cohort, and maybe don't have kids, and they're just going to go to one or the other. But I do wonder, like that, especially that late millennial crowd, they're probably going to have to choose Doomsday, because if they've got kids, they can only get a babysitter for one or the other. So it's just a question of how many other people Dune can clean up with to get, for their audience.
Well, I feel like Dune appeals to the younger crowd because you have Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya. And that's like much hipper than like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., to be honest with you. So it's gonna be interesting the demographics when those box office numbers come out.
Yeah.
Like what's the age group? What's the nationalities that want to see it? It's because Dune is not like a big franchise. It hasn't made like $1 billion or anything like that. But I mean, Timothée Chalamet right now is on a hot streak.
Yes.
And then Euphoria is coming up for Zendaya. That's good. And then Spider-Man, she's in that. So it's like, it's gonna be interesting. I'm more worried about either Supergirl. I think Supergirl was the most worried about, honestly. Because I think Spider-Man's gonna do well regardless. But Supergirl, I don't know. I mean, I guess Lobo can make it work. I didn't think Momoa was great as Lobo, but I'm not gonna bring people into theaters. Because Peacemaker didn't do that well on HBO, unfortunately.
Right.
Is there any real interest in anyone other than Batman and Wonder Woman at this point? I don't know.
Yeah, because Lobo, to your point, Lobo is a comic book fan's character.
Yeah. Yeah.
He never quite broke containment the way that Deadpool did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big piece. I remember they were both big characters at the same time, the late 80s, early 90s. But Lobo kind of stayed. I mean, what was it? Krypton? Was that the TV show on Sci-Fi that had him in it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he never quite made it. I mean, he could have been on the level of like a Deadpool, but it just never quite worked out. And so I think, comic book nerds are excited about him playing Lobo. But I do wonder, like, that's not, yeah, is that going to be the same thing that gets people that who have no idea who Captain Marvel is, but they're going to go see it because it's a comic book movie back in 2019? Yeah, Lobo is not going to move the needle that way. I mean, I guess too, I don't know if Game of Thrones fans would go see Millie Alcock.
Right.
Because I don't know if it works that way either. It's not like, one of the things with direct-to-video movies is if you put Kellen Lutz in a movie or Cam Gigandet or Ashley Greene, you get Twilight fans, especially 10 years ago. Twilight fans would watch anything that any of them were in. And so you had like a built-in audience with if you put Kellen Lutz in something. And I don't know if like Game of Thrones is the same thing where it's like, oh, if Millie Alcock's in something, Game of Thrones should have to watch. I don't think it's the same kind of audience.
So I'm looking up the date of Supergirl, right? So it's June 26th it comes out. So 2 weeks before that, we got Scary Movie 6 and Disclosure Day.
Yeah.
Which are going to be two big movies. Because one is obviously a sequel that everyone's waiting for, and the other one is Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
The week after, June 19th, the week before Supergirl, we have Toy Story 5.
Oh, wow. So that's going to get those
kids.
millennials, right?
Right.
Kids, so those millennials that we were talking about, the young millennials who are going to have to get the babysitter for Doomsday, don't need to get the babysitter for Toy Story 5. And they're going to want to see that too.
And then the same day as Supergirl, we have Jackass 5.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be interesting.
That's going to be all the guys.
Yes.
So that's the Paramount play. So smart move, Paramount.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. Then I think after that, the week after is Minions.
Yeah.
So it's in a bad spot.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, the thing with kids movies is that the kids movies seem to always do well. I mean, I think Minions was, actually Jurassic Park did well last year, I was going to say, but I think before Jurassic Park, I think Minions might have been one of their best. One of the recent Minion sequels was one of the best ones for Universal for a while. Or I guess, no, they did Super Mario Brothers too that day. That was another one that did well for them. But that idea, yeah, I mean, Toy Story hits both of them though, because that's that younger millennial cohort that has kids now, right? Like, so now they can share this with their kids. They can watch the other ones. I mean, that's perfect on Disney's part to do this movie because I think, that can hedge against any, because I mean, this is supposed to be a big year for them. I have a feeling that the Mandalorian Grogu movie is not going to do as well, but they're not going to care if Toy Story does well enough. I mean, they want all the movies to do well. They would love it if all 5 movies made $1 billion, but they're releasing things as a way so that they can hedge. And I think if the Mandalorian Grogu one doesn't do well, they're probably going to be a reckoning with Star Wars. I think they're going to have to maybe overhaul things, get whole new creative teams in or something. They don't really seem to know what they're doing with that. But the Pixar ones like Toy Stories, they just seem to always do well for them.
So then Spider-Man comes out July 31st. 3 weeks before that is the Moana live action.
Yeah.
2 weeks before is the Odyssey, the Christopher Nolan.
Oh, okay.
And then the week before is Evil Dead Burn. So they also have a problem.
Yeah.
So it's rough.
Because the Odyssey, I was thinking that Disclosure Day could be this year's Oppenheimer, but actually the Odyssey is probably going to be this year's Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, yeah. So it's interesting. This is almost like a mix of the Barbenheimer year and kind of, I don't know, maybe the year after when Deadpool and Wolverine did really well and Disney really had a great year overall. It's kind of like these established franchises against some established directors and it's going to be interesting, and like you said, all the different age demographics that are going to be playing a part in this. It could be an interesting year. And then of course with these these buyout deals going on as well at the same time, and how like how Paramount would take things with HBO versus how Netflix would do it. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more variety this year. I feel like the big movie is gonna be like Super Mario comes out, the next second one. It's gonna be major. Michael Jackson, the biopic, I think that's gonna be $1 billion.
Oh,
that's
yes.
gonna be
Jermaine Jackson.
That's the end of April, so it's gonna be right into the summer.
Yeah.
And then Devil May Prada, I think Part 2 is gonna make a lot of money. Yeah. That's Disney, so they're gonna make that money. So there's a lot of stuff for a lot of people, different people. Mortal Kombat 2, we forgot about that. That's
Right.
coming out.
Well, that was one that Warner was supposed to put out last year, and they're pushing it to this year. So
And that comes out the week before The Mandalorian.
yeah,
So that's gonna bleed into that.
yeah. Well,
So,
and that could be interesting, right? Because that might be really a telltale sign about how weak Star Wars is. If Mortal Kombat, like you said, if it really, really cuts into Mortal Kombat, because I think again, Sinners showed how weak Marvel was with how
right.
much they could cut it to Thunderbolts. Yeah, if Mortal Kombat does a number on Mandalorian Grogu, that will really show. And again, this is maybe one of the problems with a company like Disney owning everything, is that they could just completely disinvest in Star Wars, and people just might just get stuck with what they already have on there.
It's unfortunate what they did to that franchise.
Yeah,
It's a shame. Um, yeah, I know they got rid of Kathleen Kennedy running it, so that was a start. Yeah, I think they have to restructure that whole franchise. Anything that was, I know there's movies coming out. I know who just directed one? Who just filmed it? The guy who did Deadpool Wolverine, the one that directed it.
oh right,
Sean Levy.
yes,
Yeah, he just did the one with Ryan Gosling that's coming out. I forgot what it's called, but that's supposedly that's been finished, so that's gonna be released. And I know they're doing another Ahsoka season. So, I mean, yeah, I'm hoping it works out for them because they need something right now. They're kicking the ass. And I know Daisy Ridley's coming back for something. So, it's yeah. I think Marvel's in a better spot than Star Wars is.
yeah. I think that's Kevin Feige. I think and I think one of the things that Kevin Feige does well that I think the Star Wars group wasn't doing well is that he doesn't necessarily listen to the noise. He'll put movies out. I mean, yes, granted with like Eternals, it didn't do well. Plus, it got really bad press, and so they just kind of abandoned it. But I do think Feige at least will. I don't know. No, I guess maybe because he does. I mean, he listened to the noise about She-Hulk and stuff like that too. But it's possible. I think those just didn't stream well either. But I don't know. It feels like Star Wars chases its tail a lot more when it comes to like, people on Twitter don't like this one. Okay, we're gonna pull it or we're gonna cancel it. Whereas it feels like Feige is a little bit more like deliberate about what he keeps and what he gets rid of.
I just think that the fandom for Star Wars is more toxic.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge, really. Like, how do you please everybody? And you really can't at this point. We forgot a superhero movie, by the way. October Clayface. There's a Clayface movie coming out.
That's right.
Yeah, no one's talking about it, but yeah, it's coming out.
Man. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Yeah, who knows what that's going to do? I mean, man, and so Clayface is one of those ones that if Netflix is the one that ends up getting the purchase, that thing might last in the theater for 3 weeks and be gone.
And it comes out the week after Street Fighter, so that's not great.
I mean, this year is just jammed with stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming up. And then the week after Clayface is Godzilla -0.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be big. And Cat in the Hat, the new version of Cat in the Hat. So that's gonna be major.
Yeah.
That's
gonna. Yeah. So Clayface is definitely. And I think it's interesting that I almost feel like. I almost feel like James Gunn with the Clayface movie and some of the other things that he was doing, like for the TV shows and stuff, that he was almost trying to do a Kevin Feige approach of like using like lesser heroes. But I almost feel like the same way that Marvel, Feige and MCU, they were, I think they took too much from the success of Guardians of the Galaxy. And they just think that they can just create things out of, they can just, they can take any character and make them big. And Guardians of the Galaxy was a very special thing. At first it had really great actors. The characters were really done really well. It was a very special. It was an exception, I think, that proves the rule more than it was, a rule that you can just make any team of superheroes that people don't know about and turn them into something. It was probably like found gold, the fact that they could make Guardians of the Galaxy into something, because for years, I don't know, you were reading comic books, it was like they would just completely try to do something with that, and it never happened. Nobody ever read Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
But I think they all looked at that. I think Gunn is looking at it the same way that Feige looked at it, and Feige's been able to move on, right? He knows, okay, no, we can, I can't just keep trying to, I can't duplicate what happened with Guardians of the Galaxy. I've got to use the X-Men. I've got to use tried and true characters.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Gunn's going to have to learn that lesson the hard way, maybe with Clayface.
It's yeah. I feel like Guardians was a success only because, like you said, the actors, and I feel like the way it was marketed.
Yeah.
Like it was like just a cool looking trailer. The music, the vibe was very colorful, very different from like the actual MCU other stuff. It felt like they made it into an event.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people want to see it. You got Rocket Raccoon, which I know people knew from the video games. He was a big video game, like Marvel's Capcom, big character there.
Oh right,
so
yes.
People knew who he was. So I feel like, and then Thanos, and then he's gonna be part of the Infinity War and stuff like that. So they were smart how they did that. And I feel like when they were doing like stuff like the Marvels and Eternals especially, I think they realized like you can't just introduce characters that people don't care about. You have to either put them in another movie, introduce them there, and see and gauge what the response to them is, or just not introduce them at all. And I feel like you're right. James Gunn's gonna have to learn like the people when you want to see a Clayface movie. Like, I mean, you might know it from the animated series, the Batman and stuff, but I just it feels like a Venom, a Morbius, what else? Craven,
yeah.
that kind of vibe. Like that's what it feels like to me. Like this is just I think I'll wait till HBO Max has it up and I'll watch it there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's for Halloween and maybe I feel that's a horror movie kind of thing, but I don't know.
No, it's true, and it is like the worst year for them to put out a Clayface movie because, like you
the
said,
sale.
Yeah, I mean
the sale, yeah, and the Supergirl. Who knows?
Right. To your point, I'm excited about Supergirl, but I also
him too. Yeah.
There are a lot of DC characters that I guess I don't know. I mean, it almost feels like with Supergirl, he's almost kind of trying to run the same playbook as the original Superman series, only bring in Supergirl sooner, right? Like don't wait for the third movie to bring her in. But yeah, I do kind of wonder if Wonder Woman, right? I mean, or the Flash, or some of those other big DC characters, if especially before Clayface, right? I think we needed like I think if they did Wonder Woman this fall, you wouldn't be going like, oh, Street Fighter's gonna cut into Clayface, cut into Wonder Woman's gate, and yeah, I think it could have really built some momentum. And I think it also would have been great because it would have pissed off the Republican people if the conservatives if you did two women centered movies,
right? Mm-hmm.
And you could build you could kind of farm that rage bait kind of use it as like kind of and get people to want to go watch it just because I do think there were people that went and saw Superman because they were like, oh, these conservatives are so up in arms about it. This is great. I'm going to go check it out.
That's why I'm worried about the Paramount thing because I feel like they won't like Wonder Woman. What they're gonna do with that?
Yeah,
it's I feel like you need to introduce her now before anybody else. And I feel like people just wait for Batman 2, and I don't know what's happening with that. And then thinking about having two Batmans, I don't know. It's like the same mistakes over and over again. Like, guy, you need to learn from your past here. It's and then like doing the Green Lantern as a show rather than a movie is also kind of a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope he's successful with Supergirl, but I just like I'm just thinking about men not wanting to watch it because he's a woman.
Right.
It's probably very female centric. Will Lobo counteract that? I don't know. Because people love Jason Momoa, so they might go see it for that. But yeah, we're in very interesting times that we live in. It's just I hate this timeline. I just hate it. I really do.
Yeah. No, it's like what is that? The fortune? Like somebody's like it's like a Chinese like right? Like may you be cursed to live in interesting times or something like that, right?
Yeah. not the times I wanted. No.
No, exactly. No, but I think you make a great point though too. Like like if they had gotten Wonder Woman in sooner, I mean, to your point about them making the same mistakes, I mean that was the problem with the first DC universe was that they had the Arrowverse where everybody fell in love with Grant Gustin's Flash. And so then they put in this Ezra Miller guy who everybody, especially for younger people, they knew all the shit that he was into and all the bad stuff and how toxic he was. And there was this sense from the Warner Brothers side of like, no, we already cast him. We got to use him. We got to go, and it'll blow over. No one will care. But it was like, no, people cared enough. The audience, they needed to go see that Flash movie, because that was another nostalgia fest, and it flopped. It had Michael Keaton's Batman and everything. But I think that's the problem, right? Is that you've got two Flashes, because you have one in the DC universe and one in the Arrowverse. And then now they're doing the same thing where it's like Robert Pattinson's Batman. They're like doing that before they bring in James Gunn, but now he's got to have his own. I think there is talk about maybe using Pattinson's Batman, but I also don't know if Pattison wants to be in these DC movies. Yeah, so
I heard Matt Reeves said no, because I think he wants to do it like an Elseworlds kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I feel like his stuff is like more like serious, like crime driven, and I think probably Gunn wants to do it like a more like comic booky, cartoony. Not saying like Batman, like Superman, but more like Batman the animated series kind of vibe, like that kind of thing. And I don't think Matt Reeves is interested in that.
No, that makes sense. So maybe that's the idea, that maybe he's gonna have to bring it. So he's gonna have to cast a whole new Batman. What did they say it was?
He's gonna be the Brave and the Bold.
Yes.
To be the Damian Wayne as the Robin, which is weird that he can do his son first as the Robin, but
right, yes.
And like, why not do like? I guess they're gonna do Nightwing. I don't know
Right.
what they're gonna do. It's like I don't know what the game plan is here at all.
No. And I think that's the thing for James Gunn. It's almost like one of those things where like he got what he wished for, right? He's running the whole thing, and maybe he's learning that like, oh man, when you get to run the whole thing, it's not as easy.
Easy, yeah.
I mean, Feige made it look easy for the first three phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and again, I think what Feige did when if people look at comic book movies and how much they brought in for revenue, his successes were kind of exceptions that prove the rule more than they were like this new thing about comic book movies. He bucked a lot of trends, and I mean, most companies when they're doing comic book movies, they don't have the number of successes in a row that he had. I mean, I don't think he's had any movies that have. There's very few, I guess. Well, the Marvels, but I think other than like the Marvels and maybe the Incredible Hulk, I don't think he's had many that didn't make their money back. I guess maybe the Eternals, but then the Eternals had a whole bunch of other things going on. They came out during the pandemic.
I think Brave New World also probably was one of them too.
That's right, Brave New World. That was the one that didn't.
They reshot a lot of it. They reshot most of it, so that might never came back.
Yeah, but I mean, even with Brave New World, it still made like over $400 million. It's like,
but who knows how much it cost to make it?
Oh no, probably cost that much to probably cost because I think between the reshoots and then the advertising, it definitely cost
probably like 500, 600 million.
Yeah, right. But I mean, they've never had something. I mean, other than the Marvels, I think I don't know if they've ever had anything like like Craven, or Morbius.
No.
And usually a comic book, a company that's doing comic book movies, they'll have one of those duds in there. I mean, Fox, right? Fox has the Fantastic Four movie that just completely flopped, and they had a few others that were really bad too. Usually you have one, and I guess Marvel's was their one, but they, for the most part, they don't really have like those, Feige's done pretty well, and I think Gunn's going to realize that, like, it's not going to be as easy as he thinks. I mean, Clayface is looking like it could be maybe not quite Craven level, but maybe. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the other, like the second Shazam movie kind of flop. It might be in that range potentially.
It has to depend on the trailer. Yeah. I think that's going to really make people want to go see it, or if there's no other movie coming out that weekend, maybe people might go, oh, you know what, I'll see it. Yeah. It's a horror movie. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Or I feel like you have to put like Batman in that movie for it to be like a success.
Yes.
But I don't know. Like it was like Clayface of all things. Like why? Right. Is this like part of the bigger plan? Like what's like I don't get it.
No, I mean, it's kind of almost in a way. It's kind of the way the Arrowverse kind of danced around Batman. But didn't quite use them. Like Arrow would use Batman characters for villains and things like that, and they did Batgirl. They were doing some stuff that was kind of Batman, almost similar to the Spider-Man verse, Spider-Verse without Spider-Man. And I do wonder, like, if that's a thought that they're, oh, I don't want to pull Batman out right away. I almost feel like you should go the other way around. I feel like you shouldn't mess around with Batman. Like, if, but see, I think the problem is he's screwed because he took this thing over at the time that Matt Reeves was
Yeah.
doing his Batman. And there's a fear of, because I mean, I guess like the whole Ben Affleck thing, right? That was like, but Ben Affleck was doing Batman after Christopher Nolan's Batman. So at least he was alone, there wasn't like another,
Right. He's alone.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I guess that kind of screwed him over there. I didn't really think about that he can't just, he's probably afraid to do Batman until the Matt Reeves one is done.
And that's gonna be a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe just bring him in. I don't know.
You could have done another different characters. I don't know, like Zatanna.
Yeah.
I mean, but I guess it's another woman, right? You can have another woman lead. It's not gonna work. It's gonna be interesting, this box office, because I feel like there are big movies this year, but I feel like there's a lot of like little ones that I don't know that might surprise you. I like The Bride that's coming up soon. It's gonna be a big thing.
Oh yeah.
And that's the movie I feel like no one really like thought about. Like, oh yeah, this could be major. Yeah. Because the marketing is fantastic. So that might be the sinners of this year. Who knows? So it's. And I know, like Michael Jackson. I think that's gonna be so big. There's like remakes, also like Cliffhanger remakes coming out, like Youngblood remakes coming out. Like it's this variety. I just feel like who's gonna go see this movie? Like
right.
It's gonna wait to like Netflix or Hulu or whatever. Like, okay, I'm just gonna wait. That's why I feel like Dune and Doomsday should have been like separate, but
yeah,
I feel like it's gonna eat each other up.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the Mandalorian. That's where the Mandalorian could fall into trouble, because I think part of what killed the Marvels was I think that the core MCU audience all looked at that and said, "I'll wait till it comes out on Disney Plus." The trailers weren't really good for it. I think like the end product of the movie was better than what the trailers were.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think it was ever made clear enough that you didn't need to watch Ms. Marvel to understand what's happening in the movie.
And I did.
Yeah, right.
That's a lot. I was like, I didn't need to watch the damn show.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
why?
Right. Like, I think there was a lot of stuff that they didn't do a good job enough with that. But it's going to be interesting, with these movies now, because I think that is going to be a big part of it. Like, so many people are going to have so many things to choose from. The audience that, kind of outside of our age cohort or people that are slightly younger that don't have kids, who can go, more often to the theater. I think where it's going to be a problem is that the Gen Z audience, that's the one that you would expect to be going to the theater to prop up films, because they're supposed to be younger people with money, or with more disposable income, but they don't have that,
Right.
They're trying to find a way to get at, stop living with their parents. They're a lot of them are turning to things like sports betting and like Kalshi and things like that, because they can't get work the way they want to. And so you can't tell them, oh, do you want to blow $30 on a movie this week? Their mindset is like, nah, I'm going to go online and find a way to pirate it and get it illegally. And so now it's like, now you're fighting over this pie, this smaller pie of people who, because we don't have that, when we were that age, when we were Gen Z's age, we were the ones propping up the movie theater. They were making movies for us mostly. And now that population isn't there to prop up the theaters. And so now they're all fighting over this smaller pie. And it's going to be interesting. I mean, to your point about Dune, that might be the one that gets the Gen Z kids out to see a movie because they like Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, I feel like it's money. I feel like it's just the politics in general.
Yeah.
I feel like they might look at these corporations, go, let's just boycott the movies to bankrupt them, to send a message. It's a lot going on. There's a lot different. I feel like conservatives and liberals. Like, who's gonna watch this? Who's gonna watch that? Like Angel Studios is made for conservatives, and you have all these other studios made for liberals, and it's just like everything's divided. And I just don't know what's gonna bring people together, especially movie wise. Maybe Spider-Man, I think, something like that. Michael Jackson, like I said. But it's gonna be very. I feel like this box office is gonna be hurting for a while. unless it's like a big event, which, like you said, The Mandalorian, you're right to wait to Disney Plus. It's like a TV show based on a TV show. I just wait.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even though Pedro Pascal, but you don't see him. It's just voice.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of things, and it's not gonna get better anytime soon.
No, that's
Unfortunately.
yeah, that's the thing, right? Is that because we talk about like the midterms, like oh well, maybe if Democrats take the House or Senate or whatever, things will change. But it's like, I mean, you have like Hakeem Jeffries, who's like the
It's
House,
the same shit. It's
right?
the same shit, different color.
He's just like what did he say? He's like he couldn't commit to abolishing ICE, and so it's like yeah, it's what's the other thing I always hear is everybody's saying nobody's coming to save us, right? Like we just kind of have to accept that, and I think it's one of the things that's also going to affect Gen Z because I think Gen Z in 2024 they were like I'm not waiting in line for another 4 or 5 hours to vote for somebody who can't call what Israel's doing in Palestine genocide. I just
Right.
it's not worth it for I've got a job. My boss won't let me sit in line for 5 hours for this, and so that that age cohort now, they're the first age cohort that's like going to do worse than the generations before them. They're going to have less opportunity to go to school than the generations before them. Yeah, when we were that age in the late '90s, it was a completely different world. We were going to see crap movies like, Deep Blue Sea or, like I shouldn't say crap, but you know what I mean? Like, we
It
were
was a B movie, yeah,
right.
but it was a great B movie.
It was a ton of fun. It's a ton of fun movie, but it's
Right,
like,
right.
I mean, nobody's going to see Deep Blue Sea in the theater now. I mean, yes, if they re-released it, we'd go see it, right? But you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, if somebody made that
Yeah,
movie today, no one would go see it. And but it's like at that time in the late '90s, we had, we weren't rich, but like we also like things like rent and gas and all the kind of things that people have to pay for now. Food, I mean, you could go to Taco Bell and get 4 tacos for 50 cents a piece. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
and so it's like if you had $10 burning a hole in your pocket, you could go to the convenience store. I mean, even like I go to 7-Eleven and like a bag of like gummy bears or something is like $4.
Jeez.
And it's like you think about,
Wow.
you could go for like $1.50. You could get a bag of gummy bears and a soda for another like dollar something, and smuggle them into a movie theater and catch a $5 matinee. There's none of that anymore.
Yeah, it's very sad. It made me very sad.
It is.
Yeah, I feel like no social media. You have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like everything was catered to like the audience, like music, TV.
Yeah.
We had to earn renting stuff from Blockbuster or any video store. Um, the internet, we had to like wait 5 minutes to get online. We weren't entitled to anything. It's a very different world, and as much as I'm glad like technology has advanced, I also think it's done a lot of damage. AI now is big.
Yeah.
I feel like that's making everyone lazy. It's yeah, I feel like we're gonna have like an AI president soon. Like it's gonna happen. Like Skynet's gonna take over, and although the Terminator's gonna just kill humanity. So I mean, I won't be alive to see that. So good luck to you guys. Um, but but it's a very different time. I feel like I feel like we're in a generation that like did we live without all this stuff.
Yeah.
So we know how it was. So it's kind of for us it's frustrating to us like you guys have all this information in your hands, yet you don't do anything with it. You know what I mean? And we had to go to the library and go through books and the newspapers and find out information. Now that people barely know how to read
Yeah.
because everything's read to them. So it's really sad.
Yeah. Right. And that's the generation. I think that's the generation younger than Gen Z. That's the
Gen Alpha,
right?
yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, I mean, they were kind of a lost generation when it came to COVID. They were, I think we've learned now that kids don't learn as well online as they do in school. And I think that's different from the conversation about like, oh, well, you need school to be able to socialize kids. I think that, people really people should be learning how to be social for kids because like high school is like Lord of the Flies kind of deal. It's like it's like, but the idea is that when you're in that environment, you it's easier to focus and it's easier to learn at least that's what the studies are showing, that kids learn better in a physical environment. And so that generation, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, the one thing I will say, like, my niece is in that generation. She was born in like 2011.
Okay.
And she's into gangster rap. And
that's interesting.
I was up visiting my family, and I went down to the basement where I had a bin of my CDs, and I was like pulling out all kinds of Eazy-E CDs. She was like big into Eazy-E, stuff like that. But she wanted the CDs. She wanted the actual she didn't want to just go on Spotify, and she wanted to see the whole, what the CDs look like, and have them. And she got a CD player and all that kind of stuff. So I think there is a little bit of a, I don't want to say a backlash to it, but I think, it's just a matter of, I think exposing people to these things, right? Like if you don't have, family members that are saying like, hey, why don't you check out my CDs? Then you're just going to go on Spotify and just get it all for free. But, but I think also to your point, right, that, those CDs meant more to us because, that was either allowance, or later, we started getting our first jobs. Like, you spent, 4 hours in the dish pit to be able to afford those CDs. Like, while I'm cleaning my arms still feel greasy from washing dishes. I'm picking up the CD. Like, it means more than it does if I'm just going on Spotify and streaming it, even if I've got commercials or something.
Just like music in general, like this is the radio to hear songs, or MTV.
Yeah,
I mean we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even that Napster, you had to go on there and search for stuff and download it. That took a while, depending on what your internet was like. So yeah, I mean, we earned that stuff. Television, we had to watch it right when it started, unless you had a VCR to record it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I feel like the parenting is what really like makes that, like what your niece does. I think that's great parenting, and parenting just like taking, like going, hey, appreciate the stuff we had.
Yeah.
Like vinyl, like I think vinyl right now is very big, which I'm very surprised. But like that's older people going, like introducing their younger generation to, like, this is how we listen to music. The sound is so much better on vinyl, and people collect it. So I think it's just the way. I think most people just want to like give their kid a phone and just like, here, just do what you want to do, and I'll do whatever I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think that's the issue.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. Yeah. I mean, just thinking about like, listening to music on the radio. I mean, that you'd have like the blank tape in the boombox,
That's what I used to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And you get ready to get poised to do the recording, but like, you'd always get like the DJ,
Yeah.
so it's like you'd have the song around it's like, yeah, I mean, it's a whole thing that like, yeah, it's the way I saw it described, this guy, Rick Beato, who has a YouTube channel where he talks about music and stuff. The way he described it was like, one, he talked about when he was a kid in the 70s, how he would, work, he was bagging groceries, and he would like do that job, and then he would have to ride his bike to the record store, and he would buy the vinyl record, and it cost something. And then like he would share it with his friends. Like they would have their own, they would buy other things. And so everybody would share it, but it was like, it meant something to have that thing. And I think that was part of it too, was that like, oh, well, you have to make that decision about, well, if I don't want the whole CD, then yeah, I'm gonna have to try to tape it off the radio, or, tape it off MTV or whatever. Otherwise I'm going to try to get the tape. When they had the cassette singles for a while, that was a good deal as well. But, yeah, you felt like, when you had these songs that you had taped off the radio, it was almost like you were getting something, like you were, I don't know, finding something, like almost like you were, with a metal detector at the beach, right? You're like, it's like you
Right.
worked to get that stuff. And now it's like, because the music is so available, it's like, he described Spotify as like a running faucet. And
It is, yeah.
And so it's like all the music is coming out of that faucet, and then like, you can just put a cup in and get one band's entire catalog. Just put their cup. It's kind of crazy, and it's not just that. YouTube. You can do it on YouTube too. You can do it on any of them, and it's great for us because I think we've been through it, and so now it's like, okay,
it's easy now. We got the easy now.
Right, exactly.
We'll just put it in the playlist and we're good.
Right. Yeah.
It's 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 interesting watching like younger people how they interact, like TikTok and all that stuff. Like I'm like I God bless them. I just don't get it.
No, no.
I don't.
But it's funny because I think, and again, like whether it's Gen Z or Gen Alpha, like everybody's trying to tap into them because they don't know how to speak to them. And I think that was kind of a similar thing with us sort of, kind of on the end of Gen X. But Gen X was another group that nobody really figured out how to sell to and market to. And then when millennials came along, they figured it all out, right? Okay, well, let's do muted colors, let's do cutesy slogans, let's do, all kinds of stuff. And it was like that was like a group that just bought everything. And now that it's back with Gen Z, it's kind of funny seeing everybody trying to figure them out. And it's like, well, the way to figure them out is just give them a job that pays enough money. That's really, don't saddle them with student loan debt. Let them feel safe to be able to go to the doctor and not, get in debt. Let them be able to
Right.
rent a house. Actually, instead of having houses be owned by investment companies, make them available to rent. So they can move out of their house and rent houses. That's it's like there's not anything you really need to figure out with them. They just want like a little bit of dignity to be able to live like the rest of us.
I also feel like a lot of them are very desensitized to stuff too,
Yeah.
like school shootings. If they were old enough for 9/11, just the way the politics is being run now. Like if it was the '70s, this would never happen. The Watergate, all that stuff, that would have been this would have been locked down already.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, oh, whatever. Like it's like what? And it's frustrating. And then they're very sensitive to things that we weren't sensitive to. Then you watch like an older movie. Like, oh, why did they like? How dare they like say this about this person or the color of their skin? And it's like, well, that's the humor we had when we were younger. But they see it as like very offensive, and which it is. But at the same time, I feel like we have to really have to know this generation. Like talk to them, get to know their habits. I feel like now them are you have the whole gender roles, the ADHD, the autism, all that stuff is like not in play. It's stuff we had, but we didn't really talk about it. Yeah, I just feel like they're more accessible to things now, but I feel like also they're very like introverted in a way where they like to talk to other. They just talk on Zoom,
Yeah.
or FaceTime. They don't really hang out with each other, which it's sad. They didn't understand how people play outside at one point. They didn't go on video games and chat with their friends. So it's very different. It's that's why I respect the generation, but at the same time, like I don't understand it. Like for me, it's like I kind of had to earn my stuff, so I feel like they're very entitled to things. Like you guys too easy, but you don't really do anything with that easiness.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I go with the boxers. Like I don't know what you guys want to see. Like I don't like I feel like I want to see this stuff, but you guys don't.
Yeah.
So what caters to you? Like young adult stuff. I don't know, like anime. That
Right.
stuff does very well.
I think anime does well with them. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So it's like what are you guys into?
Yeah.
Stranger Things. We're obviously they're into that. K-pop Demon Hunters. Like that's the stuff I know. I don't know what else they're into.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. And I think, but of course, American companies can't make anime, right? It's got to come, and
Mhm.
so they're trying to find ways to maybe one of the things I saw was I think TurboTax had an ad that was like a kind of a K-pop kind of thing. And it's like, but the thing is, I think enough of those kids know that the only reason why our tax system sucks is because those companies lobby, or I should say, bribe our politicians to make our
Mhm.
tax code difficult. So we have to go to those companies to get our taxes done. And those kids know that stuff more than us. But to your point, what are they necessarily? They can put it on social media and mention it, but beyond that, right? At the very least, TurboTax is not going to be able to sell to them because they're
Right.
going to see through them, and so that's probably the biggest thing is that like you can dress things up with anime or K-pop kind of stuff, but if Gen Z sees through you because they like you said they have more access to information on these things, then yeah, they're going to see through them.
I feel like they're waiting for the older generation to to be the ones to make the change
Mm-hmm.
when it should be them.
Yes, yeah,
Because they're the ones with the louder voice than us. Because we're not going to be here in maybe 30, 40 years. This is your time to make some changes.
yeah,
Like the midterms, we'll see what happens. But if there is a midterm, who knows?
yeah.
But it's like your generation needs to be the one to really speak up and do stuff. Like we've lived through this shit. Like we're tired. It's your turn. It's your turn.
Exactly. Well, and, I think to that point, one area that I think that scares Democrats, I think more than Republicans, is New York, because I think New York
Yeah.
City young people did get out and vote. And it's not because Donnie had great social media. I mean, he does, right? He does a great job on social media, but it's not because of that. It's because he had things that young people could relate to, that everybody could relate to. I should say it wasn't just young people; they were issues that everybody can relate to. Affordable housing, affordable health care, Head Start, childcare. These are like basic things that. It's funny that people call him a radical, because it's like, what's so radical about affordable housing? Like, when did that become a radical lefty position? But I think that got kids out to vote. Not only did they come out to vote, but they canvassed for him. They went to events that he was holding, things like the scavenger hunt and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like when you get a candidate who, and I think again that's the thing, is that yes, again, Mamdani had great social media, but he's going based off of their issues. There's no like magic formula that he had for getting young people to vote for him. He just said, okay, these are the things that suck for you. We're going to fix them. And of course, now he's learning that Mayor Adams really screwed things. Yeah,
And just the government in general is just like not really like helping him. So
right.
now he's just today he just announced like he wants to raise the property tax
Yeah,
by 9%, which is not great.
right.
Which is not what he wanted. He's like, this is the last resort, but if I have to do this to make you guys wake up, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's like they're trying to make him the enemy, but he's not the enemy. He's trying to help people.
right.
So he's kind of like, I'm going to make this backfire on you and make them go, yeah, you're the reason why this is happening, not me.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm the one talking about it. I'm the one speaking about it. I'm the one showing you evidence of this stuff going on, but you're not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
But then again, you show evidence of anything. Do people really care at this point? I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever.
Well, and I don't know that like all the, all the high end apartments on, the Upper East Side, or like, all the rich people didn't just suddenly flee New York when he got elected, like they said they were going to.
Yeah, I doubt it.
No,
Yeah.
they're sticking around. I mean, the same thing happened in Massachusetts. Massachusetts had a millionaire tax, and everybody's like, "Oh, millionaires are going to stop coming there. The sports teams won't be able to sign players, all this kind of stuff." No, everybody stayed, and now they've got like this budget surplus that they can spend on stuff like that. It's like Mamdani's tax. I don't think is going to be as big as the one that Massachusetts had. And it's still going to like fund everything. But the problem is that, I remember Curtis Sliwa,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was interviewed before Mamdani went into office, like after the election. And he said, I think Mamdani's got a lot of great ideas, but he's going to find out that that Adams really screwed everybody over, that he,
Mm-hmm.
and so he must have known that this budget shortfall was there in New York. But I think to your point, I think, if Mamdani is able to kind of keep messaging that, like, listen, we're in a bad spot here, but I'm gonna keep doing what you want me to do, what you elected me to do, because I think that's the big thing. I think young people felt really let down by Biden.
Mm-hmm.
He was bad with student loans. I mean, everybody's talking about the Epstein files. Biden could have released the Epstein files in 2024. And wouldn't that have been pretty good for the election in 2024 if he and Merrick Garland released all the files then? I think as bad as MAGA people are, I don't think they would have voted for Trump if the Epstein files came out in 2024. And so, I think Gen Z kids, they felt let down by the Biden administration and how he ran things. And Mamdani's like, no, I'm going to do it. So I think, like you said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the budget issues there. But I think overall, and I think to your point about like Gen Z getting out and doing stuff, it's like if if somebody can break through their cynicism by saying like, yeah, I hear you, and I get that these are problems too, and I want to try to address them, they'll stand behind him.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it had to do with his age. He's just like one of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's still what 35 years old, 36 years old. Like
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
young guy. Like he's not an older man who's like I'm here for I'm part of this corporation, part of the millionaire club. No, he's a young guy, a Muslim guy who, an immigrant. He relates to that sense of things, and it's just like people can relate to that. So people like trying to talk about like the next Democratic candidate was going to be AOC, or it's going to be like Newsom, which God, Newsom is just as bad as Trump at this point.
Right, right.
But he's blue instead of red, so it's different. But it's one of those things. Like, what do you do? Like who do you pick?
Yeah.
So it's like it's just bad choices all around. And Madami is trying to do his best, but I feel like the people on top are trying to like undermine him to kind of prove a point. Like, oh yeah, you have to kind of comply with us, and he's not. I don't think he wants to do that. So it's all games. It's a big chessboard, and we're all pawns, and we're getting knocked down one by one.
Exactly. We're all pawns, but if we could get our enjoyment, I guess, from movies and things like that. It's like,
Let's get just distractions. Yeah, here.
Yeah.
Watch this.
It is one of those things. Cause I talk to friends who say like, God, I'm on the internet and I just, or I'm on my phone and it's just like, everything's bad, right? Just everything's bad. And I say, yes, on the one hand, you don't want to hide your head in the sand about it. You want to, know what's happening. But I think there is a mental health component that people, it's almost like this is going to sound like, cheesy self-help, like kind of stuff. But it's like, when you're flying on a plane, they tell you to put your oxygen mask on you first before you help somebody else with theirs. But like, I think, you can't be, you can't help other people, or you can't be as concerned as you want to be if you don't, worry about your own mental health. And I think it's, again, we're movies, if they weren't so expensive, I think for like Gen Z kids, they can't enjoy them as much. And I think it's part of the problem overall for those younger generations is that for us, we had a lot more places to escape, even though we didn't have the options of streaming and all of those things. We had so many options for things to do, with our time. Even if it was just going outside and doing stuff, but like,
just hanging out, playing sports.
Yeah, the mall,
the mall
was cheaper.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we have more playgrounds, we had more places to play sport, and yeah, so I think that's the number one thing is it's like, yeah, with movies and things like that. Like, hopefully this year with this like packed docket that we have of movies that we're gonna get, at least get some time, to sort of escape from some of this stuff. And I think again for people out there who like are, you see all this stuff on Instagram, you see it on social media, but you see it on the news and everything, and it just seems like it just keeps getting worse. Yeah, taking 2.5 hours to yourself to go see a movie and watching Mortal Kombat or whatever it is that you go see, I think it's worth it. And yes, if you go into a little debt for the $30, because not everybody can afford $30, but put it on a credit card and let it sit there. It's like, your mental health is probably worth it, even if that $30 ends up costing you 60 or 70 down the road. It's like, maybe you just need it.
I would just like get a subscription, like AMC A-list. That's what I do. I have it was $28. You get to watch 16 movies a month for a week. So and one IMAX will pay off the entire subscription. So it's like everything else is free, and it's like just why go? It's mental health, really.
Yeah,
just to get away, just to be distracted for a little bit, because it's like it wears on you, it tires you out, and it's just like I need to watch something that's gonna. Unfortunately, a lot of movies right now are very much political, and that's kind of hard. But at the same time, it's like I'm trying to like escape into a different world, which is why I'm excited for these Doomsday. I mean, I'm excited for it because I'm like it's a different 2 hours I can get escape for a little bit, and then hopefully enjoy myself. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I always ask myself, how did we get here? But I don't know the answer. I don't know who messed up the timeline. It was Loki or
Right.
Captain America. We went back in time. Maybe that's what Doomsday will tell us.
Right.
But somebody fucked things up.
Yeah, yeah, we're in this crazy world. Yeah, so it's a and I mean maybe this movie we're about to talk about, TC 2000. It's funny. I think it takes place in the 2020s, and they thought
I think it's actually 2020. I think it's
yeah, exactly 2020. Yeah, and they thought they it's funny how they didn't get the fact that like we hadn't destroyed the planet enough, because that back then it was the ozone layer. Right now it's definitely greenhouse gases, and it's going to get there. And I think that's probably another thing why Gen Z and maybe even Gen Alpha aren't that happy, because they know they're going to be living on a heated planet. They're going to have to like hide away in like Vermont or something like that, where the weather's going to be a little bit better. But this movie was like, okay, rich people are going to kind of live underground, and poor people are going to fight for scraps. That's kind of what's happening now. People like like Peter Thiel, billionaires like that. I think it's what they were finding in the Epstein files. Is it like the Epstein emails that people like Peter Thiel were emailing with Epstein about things and saying how like, yeah, once the planet goes to shit, we'll just go live in our bunkers while the
right.
the rabble just kind of exists. And it's kind of what's happening now. It's like the oil companies. It's like, let's just make our billions of dollars and then go hide away in a bunker. And so now I guess what that means is you got to have like a Billy Blanks or somebody there helping protect the food stores, so people can't steal the food from them or whatever.
Oh God.
Well, that usually. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But I think this dystopian future over the what we got now.
Right.
At least it's colorful. At least the chicks are hot.
Right.
They could make them into robots. Like that, I wish we could do that.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
we're supposed to have flying cars at this point. Where are the flying cars?
Yeah. Well, because the reason why we didn't have flying cars was that because nobody lived above the surface, so everybody was underground. Yeah, so
that's probably coming up. So
yeah, I think that was a one of the tricks that Joel Merhi, who did the movie, produced the movie, one of his tricks to keep the budget under it was to have everybody living underground, so that way you could there's no flying cars, you don't need to worry about that stuff.
I'll say this movie looks really good for a low budget movie. I thought the fact that they had really no money to make this movie, I thought it was very well made. Like it was just like just the action stuff, the sets. We'll talk about the gangs. Like I have thoughts on these gangs. But yeah, I thought the way the way they filmed this, the way they produced it, I thought it was very well done.
Yeah, no. So we picked this because it was a Billy Blanks movie. Now, had you seen some of his action stuff before, or was this one of your first?
The only thing I've seen from him is the Tybo stuff.
Yeah.
And I've seen like clips of this because there's a YouTube channel called, I believe, is Bad Movie Bible. They were talking about like RoboCop ripoffs, and this is one of them. And it got pretty good reviews. So that's the only clip I saw was from this movie. So I knew what you were talking about when you suggested it. I was like, oh, okay, TC 2000, okay. But I've never seen a full Billy Blanks experience. That's what this is.
Right.
Because he's not a good actor.
No.
Even though he's a good martial artist, but he's not. His acting is very. I'm trying to be kind.
No, for sure. I mean, especially that moment where Bobby Phillips, who plays Zoe, is dying.
Dude,
yeah,
I took notes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, perfect.
Him trying to quote unquote emote was very interesting to watch.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing with Billy Blanks is interesting. So he comes up at the same time in the early to mid 90s, and he gets a few of these starring roles. So the producer Joel Merhi, he actually, from a production standpoint, his casts in his movies were much more diverse than a lot of the movies at that time. It was, if you look at like a PM Entertainment, it's like outside of Lawrence Hilton Jacobs for some early movies, and then Don the Dragon Wilson, it was pretty much, then Tracy Lords, I guess. It was mostly just white guys,
Right.
a parade of white guys playing the leads. And someone like a Billy Blanks, you'd think, okay, well maybe he could have gotten a shot with them. And I think part of it is the fact that yes, in the 90s it was hard, for him as a black man to get those kind of action movie starring roles. But on the other hand, like you said, his acting wasn't great. And so it's like, I guess that's the problem, right? Is that if you're not a white guy in these movies, the margins that you can get away with as a bad actor, it's you don't really have the luxury of being a bad actor. That maybe a white guy might have, that they feel like they can turn into a star.
I kept thinking like, what would Michael Jai White would have done in this role? Because he's a good actor.
Yeah.
So it's like, and he's a good martial artist too. So I'm wondering like, what would have been as fun to watch? Because I feel like Billy Blank, as bad as he is, makes it fun because it's sort of like bad. It's bad, but it's like charming bad.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't have a smile on my face every time he's trying to act. Like, go, you're not good, but you're trying. I respect it. So like I'm like, would it achieve that dynamic? Would it be a little bit too serious as a B movie? I feel like a B movie like this should be kind of like goofy.
Right.
And I feel like he asked to that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with it. I feel like it was a more serious one, like a Jean-Claude Van Damme or something like that, or Steven Seagal. I feel like, okay, you would not work in that environment.
And I think to your point, like I think Michael Jai White, because he is such a good actor, and I think part of it, because Michael Jai White is probably about 10 years younger than Billy Blanks,
right?
And I think when he was coming up, I think he recognized that, like, he actually no, he said this in an interview. He said, when you kick someone in the face, you get known for kicking people in the face, meaning he needed to diversify his toolbox because he couldn't make it just on action movies. Because again, he said in that same interview, he said that a producer once said to him, "I wish I had a white you," meaning like,
oh wow,
yeah, it was like that blunt. I mean, that's one of those things that there's a lot of racism in Hollywood, and they hide behind this idea that like, oh, middle America can't accept things, that like, oh, it's them that are racist. I'm not really racist. I'm just telling you like it is. When it's like, probably no, you're racist too. The guys are racist too. But obviously Billy Blanks would have been dealing with that even more, in the, or at least to the same extent, if Michael Jai White was dealing with it. But I think Michael Jai White looked at it as like, okay, I got to do comedy. I've got to do drama. I've got to do everything, and get myself into all these different things. Whereas Billy Blanks looked at it as like, I can work as a trainer. And then he developed that Tai Bo training method. And that was his sort of diversification. It's like, okay, I'm not getting the roles I want. And, I'm still probably not the actor that I should be, right? I'm not able to pull this off, but Tai Bo is working for me. And that's really kind of where he found his mark. Whereas, Michael Jai White was able to do, comedy movies, drama movies, different kinds of films, but still want to do the action stuff.
And they're both successful in their own way. So, it's a different journey for each one. But I was wondering like, how would it worked here? Like, would it have been too serious? Would he have been too good in this movie? Because I feel like the other actors are kind of not great either. But I think that's why it works. They're all kind of on the same level of acting. Like I felt like Bobby Phillips was like the best actor in the movie. And she's not great, but it's like I felt like she was like trying the most, and she gets the most to do, I think, in a lot of ways, because she's the one that becomes the cyborg, which was surprising because I thought he's gonna be the cyborg, Billy Blanks.
Yeah.
If it was the star, so he's gonna be like the RoboCop or whatever. No, it's the partner.
Yeah.
That was okay. That was that, but I like that. So that surprised me.
Right, because it was when they sold it after they had to sell it as him, on the cover that he
right,
was.
He's on the cover, right? Yeah. So he looks like robotic. So okay, he's gonna be the RoboCop here. He's the Murphy of the movie. Right. But no, it's her. I'm like, okay, this is actually interesting. They don't do much with her as their cyborg. We'll get into that.
Right.
But it was interesting. It was an interesting idea.
Yeah, if you want, maybe I'll do a quick synopsis. We'll do, then we can, we'll do the. So from a quick synopsis standpoint, again, the future is it's 2020. It's the future. The ozone layer is done. So rich people are living underground in bunkers, while poor people are having to deal with the bad conditions and sort of fighting for scraps above. And Billy Blanks and Bobby Phillips, they're part of this group called Trackers, where they kind of like they keep the rabble out from like getting into food and stuff like that. But what they're seeing is like people are starting to break in more, and especially led by this gang led by Jamal Merhi called the Picassos. They're which is great. Like they get their faces all painted, like Clockwork Orange stuff.
Yeah.
They're breaking in more. Bobby Phillips gets killed, and so this guy with a mustache, who's kind of a jerk, who has Matthias Hughes as his backup. They get this
Yeah.
guy who's obsessed with Bobby Phillips, who's a genius, to turn her into a RoboCop, essentially, kind of thing. And so then she joins with Jalal Merhi's group, but she's essentially supposed to be like undercover with them for the mustache guy. While Billy Blanks, he gets booted from the force because he doesn't like what they did to Bobby Phillips. And so when he's underground, he meets Bolo Young, who's kind of just there, kind of living
Hmm.
underground, doing underground fights. And the two of them team up to sort of take everybody down.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Um, Interesting to see Bola Young as a good guy
Right.
in a movie. It's very rare.
Right.
Yeah, I think he was very good in this movie though. Very physical. Dude is jacked in this movie, like jacked. Like I would not mess with this dude.
Yeah. Well, like the things like, Jalal Merhi, he gave a lot of actors opportunities that I think other studios, so like again, like I said, Bolo Young isn't just a baddie here. He gets to be the good guy. Billy Blanks gets to be the good guy. Jalal Merhi himself is in the movie, but Cynthia Rothrock did movies with him and stuff.
Hmm.
The one thing I heard, Cynthia Rothrock talked about this on her YouTube channel, that one of the movies, I think it was like Tiger Claws 2 that they were doing, because he did like, there's 3 Tiger Claws movies that she, I think, did 2 of them, and then the third one she was pregnant for. I can't remember exactly. But Bolo Young didn't get paid for the first one. He was waiting for Jalal Merhi to pay him. And
Oh shit.
when he got on set for the second movie, he was pissed. And he was like, I'm not acting until I get paid for that other movie. And Cynthia Rothrock's mom was on set that day, hanging out with her. And she comes over to Cynthia Rothrock. She's like, whoa, Bozo Young is like really pissed right now or something. She's like,
Oh so.
yes. So, but Richard Pierce, the screenwriter that we've had on, he did a movie with action guy Olivier Gruner, and Gruner didn't like Merhi. There was like a thing between the two of them. They did the circuit movies together, and so I think part of it was, I think Merhi, like to your point, like this movie looks good, but you wonder if like he was maybe doing this thing where he was taking money and spending it, and then hoping to make it. And maybe almost like a pyramid scheme kind of thing, where it's like, okay, I'll spend money on this movie, and then I'll get money for the next movie and pay everybody off from the, that kind of thing. I don't know for sure, but it might have been.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of they didn't have like a contract like pay up front kind of thing. I guess very low budget. That's how it worked back in the day. No, that's how companies went out of business.
Right. Because these some of these companies, some of them that did it right were printing money, like PM Entertainment. We talk about. I mean, the erotic thrillers ones with like Andrew Stevens as a producer
Hmm.
with his company. They knew
Yeah.
how to print money. They knew how to like get these things sold to like Blockbuster, where okay, I can sell 25,000 copies just to Blockbuster, and I've got my money made right there. And then HBO will buy it, and they knew how to do all of that. And of course, when Blockbuster went belly up, the whole market, or actually, it was before Blockbuster went belly. It was when Blockbuster started signing deals with the big, the big studios.
Studios.
Yeah, and they kind of froze the little guys out, and that was it. But yeah, for Jalal Merhi to not be able to make it work on that level, yeah, you got to be doing some things wrong. Either you're not talking to the right people, or you're not making the right deals. I mean, maybe he didn't have the same kind of deal with Blockbuster that like Andrew Stevens had. So maybe that was it. He was trying his best to sell these movies at like film festivals and stuff, and people weren't biting. Which I guess maybe because again, if I would think Bolo Young would be able to sell it, but maybe this cast didn't sell like some of like the PM ones with Don the Dragon Wilson could. I don't know.
Well, I think it was like how when was Bloodsport? Was it 88?
Yeah, I
So
think
it's
so.
like
Yeah,
so it's like 5 years. He wasn't really the star of the movie.
yeah,
In a lot of people's eyes, was Van Damme. Um, and I guess he wasn't like on the cover either. Is Billy Blanks, probably someone that a lot of people didn't know who he was at the time. Plus, the RoboCop ripoff. Like RoboCop by that point is not, I guess, a big thing. Unless it's like a Demolition Man kind of deal, which that didn't do well either.
right.
I mean, that had big stars in it. So it could be a lot of things. It could be he's just a shady person. Who knows?
Right,
like he just kept the money for himself. I don't know.
right.
I would like to think he wasn't, because he was filming with a lot of people. But yeah, you never know. Like it's like Andrew Stevens was in the business for a long time, so he probably knew how to work that. He did like real like movies like fucking John like Charles Bronson movies and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
he knew people probably in the industry, so he probably had easier time.
Yeah, that's a good point because he talked about it in that there's a documentary We Kill for Love that's talks about the
Oh yeah, I
yeah
see now. Yeah,
yeah it's really and he talks about like how he didn't want to act anymore. He wanted to produce, but he knew that as an actor he had enough of a name that he should
yeah.
still act in his movies to like get the funding. So yeah, to your point, like Jalal Merhi was a guy. I think he was like a jewel salesperson. Like I think he sold jewelry or diamonds or something, and then he did martial arts and just thought, I want to make my own movie. So yeah,
And that may I have to say it could also be a race thing.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
I just use a very good looking white guy. A lot of women like him. He's very marketable. So it's like, okay, well, this guy's playing a guy with a face paint on. Like, who's he really selling to? So that's probably what it was too. Like that probably had a lot to do with it. And also having like a black star on the cover that probably didn't help either for a lot of studios and a lot of companies. It's more the more things change, the more they stay the same. So
Well, and to your point, that's probably that's probably a big part. I mean, you think of those erotic thrillers. I mean, they almost never had
color people, yeah.
right. I mean, it's just
Unless you like Latina or something, a Latina girl, or whatever,
right,
or Asian girl.
yeah,
Like it's mostly white cast.
right. Like Talisa Soto, I think was in one that I watched, but she wasn't like the femme
The
fatale,
star,
right? She
right?
was like she was like
She's not a Shannon Tweed,
right, exactly, yeah,
blonde, busty woman.
yeah. And so it's like to your point, like I mean, part of the reason it's interesting because I think a movie like this, if it had been distributed by a company that knew what they were doing, like PM Entertainment, I think it because it's a fun movie, and I think think about myself, going back to whatever 93, 94. I mean, obviously I'm not racist, so I guess that's like that's part of it. But like if I saw this on the shelves, I'd be like, oh, I want to check this out. This looks like really cool. This looks like a lot of fun, Or I think if like TNT was playing this after Monday Night Nitro, I'd be like, okay,
Right.
This looks like a lot of fun. But but it's like with the especially depending on who's doing the distribution, it's like if you can just get yourself into a catalog. But I mean, I guess the other thing too is like the mom and pop stores that are looking up movies like this. Yeah, like what are they picking, versus other things.
I also feel like they made like Bobby Phillips like the focus of the movie, and maybe made her more sexy on the cover. That probably would have helped.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, that's sex sells, because she's a very beautiful woman. So it's like you could use that, but she wasn't really the star of the movie, so you couldn't really do that. So it's interesting how businesses work like that. And you're right, it's a fun movie, and definitely would have played like late night on TNT or some cable station like HBO or Cinemax or something like that. Like this would have been perfect for like a Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's that kind of movie. It's like there's I think it's what, like an hour and a half roughly.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really have a lot of lulls. I mean, even like the training montage things are kind of fun between him and Bolo Young.
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch Bolo Young fight, I mean, yes, there's some fights that went on forever. Like when Bolo Young fights that really big guy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like that felt like that went on forever. But it's like or I guess when Billy Blanks fights Matthias Hughes, when they're sort of like it's like there's like some kind of competition between Matthias Hughes, I guess they're the guards, right, and the other guys are
in the gym, yeah.
Right? It's like you're gonna fight out the gym, and it's like they're like beating the crap out of each other. But it's like they're like these two massive athletes that are like throwing these like roundhouse kicks and stuff like that. And to that point, I think Merhi did a good job of like, let's focus on these two guys and just like see what they're doing. By the same token, I mean, if you get punched by either of those guys, I don't care how big you are, like, or if you get kicked in the head by either of those guys, it's like
you're done.
Yeah, I mean, but like you see how like Matthias Hughes, I mean he's a massive, and he's like this extreme athlete who's like if he was brought up in the United States, he would have been like a linebacker. He would have been like a like a probably a Hall of Fame maybe linebacker in America, with the athleticism. But there's no job for being a linebacker in Germany, right? They don't have that athletic skill set. But then like the fact that Blanks is almost as tall as him, and just as athletic. It was such a great scene, and then they don't fight again after that. Bolo Young fights Matthias Hughes at the end, which that was a fun fight scene too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Matthias reminded me of like Dolph Lundgren in a lot of
Yeah,
ways, just with longer hair. Um, did they ever do a movie together?
they did. They
Did
did.
they
I
go?
Come in peace.
Oh, that's right. They were in that movie. That's right. Yeah, yeah, you're right. I forgot. I thought, yeah, that looks familiar. Where I've seen them from. Yeah, I seen that movie. Yeah, like they match up very well. Yeah, I thought he was very cool in this movie. He didn't get a whole lot to do with it. Stuff was like stand there, look menacing, but what he did. I was convinced. Like this guy, I would not mess with that guy. Like that guy was my ass. This guy's like a Viking. Like fuck that. No, I'm not. You can do what you want, bro.
Right. Unless you're Billy Blanks' size or you're
Yeah,
Bolo Young size, yeah, you're staying away from Matthias
yeah.
Hughes for sure. Yeah.
But there were like moments in this film that just made me laugh. Like the guys breaking into the underworld, whatever. Like they had to use the guards that carry them over their shoulders to get in. I was like how lax is the security system? Like you just kill a guard, just go in, just carry the guy. Like what the, like how does that work?
Well, I guess because they explained it with Billy Blanks when he
It's
quits.
like DNA or something.
Right, there's like chips that they put in them.
Oh,
And I guess,
okay.
but still, to your point, like, how long does I guess it stays open long enough if you are carrying somebody, right? That like,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it has to let them. So, like, if your leg, you can still make it through, I guess. But to your point, like, it's a it's a part of it's a defect in the system that maybe somebody should have thought of. It's like, yeah, I don't know if AI created it and made the mistake.
I mean, they have like this large, big tech security room with a whole bunch of buttons and levers,
Right.
and it's just like the first time they did that, with the gang carried the guy in. There's this woman who just randomly presses buttons and listen lowers levers. I'm like, does she know what she's doing? She looks confused as I did watching this. Like, what's going on?
Right. Well, because that was the thing too. Is I wonder if like the sets informed the movie as much as the movie, like the script informed how they were going to do the sets. Because I wonder if Mary's like, oh, I've got access to this big room. I think he's used that room in other movies. I feel like he had like he's done some like virtual reality kind of things from the '90s as well.
Okay.
And I think he's used that kind of that control room set for other things. Now I don't know about some of the other sets that he used there, but yeah, I just I don't know for sure, but I feel like I've seen some of those things before. I mean, maybe you see one control room, you see them all, so maybe it's hard to know.
And then the gangs are very unique,
Yeah,
I guess is the way to say it. Obviously, it's like very warriors. Everyone has like a different look. There's like a leather gang. There's a neon colored gang. The Picassos who like that's love art. Um, it felt very like Double Dragon, Streets of Rage. Like the first half at least, when they'll find all those gangs. Because you beat up one and another one will come. Then beat up one, another one will arrive. It's like down roads, down ladders, down wires. Like it's like you definitely know he was watching a video game. When okay, I gotta make this video game to a live action movie, and it works, and it's fun. But I was just cracking up. Like, this is like so cliche, and like these gangs don't really match with each other. Like there's like two people in one gang that look totally different from another. Like how you guys like connected? Like oh, you just because you're on top of the underworld and you just decide just get together and just be a buddy up. I don't know. It was very funny.
right, right. Because I think what it was is I think he would get like all these fighters. I don't know if he would go to like local gyms in Toronto. Because I think he's from Toronto, I believe. So I don't know if they would if they shot in Canada, if they would go to like local karate gyms and just grab guys, and then from there it was just like, what kind of costumes can like I don't know if maybe they would bring their own costumes. I don't know how that worked either.
Well, the one Asian gang member with the long hair, he's definitely been in a lot of movies. I've seen that guy. He's
Yeah.
like he's like one of those that guy people. Like, I've seen you.
Yeah.
Who are you? What's your name? I've seen you before as one of those like goons. I've seen you. And he was good. Yeah, he had great fight scenes, actually. Yeah, I just thought this was like a very cheesy, but it was fun movie. The laser guns were like battery packs. I don't know what they were, like little boxes that shot lasers. Lasers, very 90s, by the way. Like you could tell this is a very 90s movie. Um, oh my god, the security looked like glam metal rejects. I was like, one of the guys was like the lead singer from White Lion. I was like, what's he doing here?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and I mean, like the masks that they wore when they would go,
Oh god,
yeah, I,
so funny.
that whole thing, and I mean, yeah, and it's like the funny thing is like he would do these like they would do these like little establishing moments, like when at the beginning of the movie, you've got Billy Blanks and Bobby Phillips going up, and they find like a camera's busted or something, and then they go back down, and they're getting replaced by people who are doing the later shift. They're like, they're all
Yeah.
like joking to each other. Well, it's like a jungle out there. Yeah, you better be. It's like what is
The dialogue is ridiculous. Um, the scientist guy very creepy.
yes,
Like, I don't know if he was perverted or a serial killer. I don't know what he was doing. Um, I would say Bobby Phillips looked like a very young Sharon Stone in this movie, like Total Recall Sharon Stone. I was like, she's a very beautiful woman. We gotta talk about her outfit as the TC 2000.
yes.
Like, what was that outfit?
I
Like,
don't know.
who is she supposed to be?
Because
It's like barbed wire. Like,
right.
it's barbed wire before barbed wire. Yeah.
Well, the best was that they gave her these like knee high or like over the knee like high heel boots, but when she was doing all her flips and stuff, obviously whoever was doing the flips, whoever couldn't wear those, so they would replace them with some kind of other more
Oh.
functional ones. And it's like, why didn't she just wear the functional ones to begin with? Like, why did she need to wear those other boots? Like, would we have thought any less of the character if she was just wearing the ones that she did all the flips in?
I just thought the whole look was just like very bizarre. It was like soccer mom going to the mall.
Right, with the hair
Like,
too.
the hair. Yeah, I was like, what is this look? And she's like, nothing robotic about her.
Right.
She's just human, but like I guess she has like a robotic brain, and she has like memory lapses every now and then. Like this is just so like this. The budget went to the sets. The budget did not go for makeup. Did not go for costumes. It was very funny. And I guess her objective was just being horny.
Right, right, right. Well, because like that was the thing too, right? Is that like the guy, the scientist guy has a thing for her,
Yeah.
and so that's like kind of a creepy thing, and then like he programs her because that's the thing too is like when she turns into RoboCop, they kind of have like this computer animation thing that shows like a computer chip that goes into her head, and then suddenly like wires start
Mm-hmm.
like going into her brain or whatever. But it doesn't explain how all that stuff like gives her superhuman strength and things like that.
And there's like no evidence that she has surgery at all.
Right, right, right,
Like she's just alive. Like okay, she died, but she's obviously living.
right,
And by the movie's end, he's like, okay, what was the point of this whole thing to begin with?
right, right.
Um, but yeah, I just thought the characters were funny. I just thought, oh, the chi that Bolo Young
Yeah,
teaches Billy Blanks,
yes.
very unique power. Where you don't even have to touch the person to kill them.
Right,
Like I love the first fight scene where he's in the pit. He's just fighting, and the guy he's fighting has like the Barker guy in front of him as a shield. And he uses the chi on the Barker guy, but it kills the guy behind him.
right. Yeah.
It doesn't affect the guy in the front at all. I thought that was really, really, really funny.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was fantastic because it was like Seagal did something similar.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
remember the movie was. It was like Shadow something.
Oh, what was it?
Not Shadow Warriors, but it was like, um, but yeah, it was some kind of Shadow something. But he was like breaking like watermelons, and he was like knocking one of his students like through a wall. And so you're like waiting for when he uses it at the end. I definitely love the payoff here when he uses the chi. The funny thing is, Billy Blank says, "Will you teach me how to use it?" But he never really does, right? He never shows him how to like knock through things and stuff like that. But when we get to the end where Hughes is like he's like holding the door and won't let Bolo Young through the door. We're like, okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
coming. The chi is coming, and the payoff was great. I thought.
That was a great effect. Yeah, the blood and all that stuff. I was like, okay, finally, okay, we got something going here. He acted very good dead. Like it was like okay, just the die and then the blue coming out of the mouth, the bruising in the stomach. I thought it was very well done. Um, what else? Yeah, you have the Bolo's daughter who doesn't really do anything in the movie
Right.
except for whine and complain.
Yeah. Well, also she tells Billy Blanks he's being rude, right? That's the other one,
Yeah,
right? Tells
yeah,
Billy Blanks that he's being rude because Billy Blanks is like telling Bolo Young, "We should go take these guys down. We should go take all these guys out or whatever." And Bolo Young's like, "Nope, I got to train you first. We got to find the right time and all that stuff." And he essentially like I don't know if he calls him a coward or whatever, but the daughter's like, "Hey, we took you into our home here and you're being really rude." And then Bolo kind of was like, that, all right, I get why he's upset. I'm going to keep playing with my little toy here with the marble and stuff. But yeah, that was kind of it, right? She gives them food. She tells Billy Blanks he's being rude, and that's it.
yeah. And also, it's very convenient that Bobby Phillips' dad was the one that created the surface world with the atmosphere, and she has a key or something. So why didn't that kill her before?
Right.
Why did that to convince her to do this?
Yeah.
Like it's like very convoluted. Um,
Yeah, when you get to the end, it's like, I mean, it's kind of this free for all at the end of like railing deaths, you know, uh, uh, martial arts scenes just kind of come in and go out of nowhere. People getting kicked downstairs, and then like people getting hung by things.
mhm.
All kinds of stuff like that. And then you get like this whole thing of like the computer thing where apparently like it takes 4 missiles to
Yes.
right to destroy the surface. So it's like the first missile, the set, and so like as these missiles are going up, you're like, okay, how many more do we have before it's going to be a problem? It's like, oh no, the next one's the bad one, and then they're trying to figure out the password. And of course, like in the '90s, all these passwords were things that people could figure out. It kind of defeated the purpose of passwords that like. And I don't know. I don't remember it being like that when people would put passwords in for their thing.
No.
That it would be like things that people could figure out. But in the movies, they're always things that people could figure out.
And it's funny because she's the robot, but she doesn't do anything in the third act at all. She just stands there and walks
Right,
and stares at a computer the whole time. Like, what is the point of this character?
right.
Um, it reminded me of X-Men: The Last Stand with Phoenix, where she doesn't do anything at the last like the last half of the movie until the end. It's like she's the biggest threat, but she's just standing there staring at people. I'm like, what is the point of this character? Like, do something. Um, yeah, the password was life because life is Greek for Zoe, and Zoe is Bobby Phillips' character's name, which I thought was really convenient.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, but I will say the fight scenes are great. The stunt work was great. Like I said, the movie looks good for the budget it has. Um, every character felt different, which is always a good thing. Any training montage gets points for me. Um, yeah, I wish Billy Blanks and Bolo Young had picked a better hero group to hang with them because they died really quick.
Yes.
Um, they didn't really need them at all. They did it by themselves. Um, yeah, but yeah, this film was interesting because like I said, I never watched a Billy Blanks movie, so I thought this was gonna be worse than it was. Honestly, I was like, okay, well, this is gonna be something. It's on Tubi. Um, it's 90 minutes. The cover, I said, okay, this could be really bad. It's a RoboCop ripoff. Oh, okay. But it ends up being kind of fun. And I was smiling throughout the whole thing. I was very interested to see how it ends, and not the greatest ending.
Right.
I think they ran out of money probably, or
Right.
they had to change the story or script or something. But hey, at least the first 2/3 are great.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because I think Billy Blanks. I was trying to think if he's had any real duds, and so yeah, if you go into his catalog and watch some of his other things, he had like this brief period in the early to mid '90s where he was doing stuff. So he does 2 movies with Roddy Piper, and so one of them's Tough and Deadly. I think the other one's Back in Action. Those are
Oh,
fun
okay.
movies with the two of them together, and then yeah, he did a movie called Showdown that was like Imperial Entertainment's version of Karate Kid. So that's an interesting one as well. But yeah, there's definitely some, his stuff is definitely fun. But then like, yeah, you start tagging on other names like Bolo Young and Matthias Hughes, and so then it's just a matter of how they get used in the film, and I think they get used well enough. But to your point, we get that whole padding of like having to add this, add all these fighters to like have an army to go in. To your point, they could have just gone in just the two of them and they would have been fine. They would have handled everything.
It was like a waste of time. Like, what was these guys doing?
Right. I guess they softened them up. I guess the other guys softened them up. I don't know.
Yeah. Because use the chi and just kill all of them
right,
if you wanted to.
Exactly.
Like, what was the point?
Well, because that's the thing, right? When he fights Matthias Hughes, when he uses the chi afterwards, through the door, it's almost like, yeah, he could have used that chi on Matthias Hughes at any time. I mean, maybe because Matthias Hughes wouldn't let him sit there and build the chi. Maybe that's the problem. But I kind of feel like Matthias Hughes would. I think Matthias Hughes would stand there and be like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know, and then, he's building the chi, and then Matthias Hughes charges at him, and then bam, just kind of, knocks his ribs out or something.
Well, it didn't really take him that long to do it. He was like maybe 5 seconds before he did the chi and killed him. Like, I mean, it didn't really take that long. I also love the whole 80s, 90s trope that using a mirror will deflect the laser.
Right, yes.
So it kind of disrupted the machine just by just use of a mirror. And he's kind of making the right angle. Turn it this way. Yeah. That was pretty funny. But yeah, I thought this was actually I don't think it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I'm not gonna say that. But for 90 minutes, if you want to watch a very low budget action movie with very good martial arts in it, like, yeah, why not? Yeah. And I've seen worse RoboCop ripoffs than this. I think this is one of the better ones I've seen.
Yeah,
to be honest.
No, I agree. This is a fun one. I think despite the budget, even with the budgetary limitations, which again, we can speculate on where the money went. like if everybody
it was definitely the sets.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, I think he was planning to use money on the cast, and so that's probably that could be another reason why Billy Blanks decided to move into the Tai Bo thing, is that it's like he wasn't getting the roles he wanted, and then when he was getting the roles, was he getting paid? Was he having to fight for his payment? So maybe it's like, okay, I'm just going to do this Tai Bo thing because I know I'm going to get paid doing that. If it takes off, especially. But it's kind of fun to watch these movies and see some of these things, like you said, like the mirror part. I thought they were picking up the mirror because they were going to put the mirror in front of Bobby Phillips and she'd see herself.
Right.
Kind of like with RoboCop, right? Where he's going to his own house in the first movie. I thought they were going to do that and it would like shake her out of it. But no, like to your point, I didn't even think about the lasers because, mirrors and lasers, that's like a whole 90s thing.
Well, I'll say they did do a scene before that where she does look at her reflection for a bit and kind of like stops and kind of like remembers something and then just becomes the robot again. So at least they attempted to kind of go like, okay, she's kind of remembering who she is, but it was really fun how easy it happened. Like, he's like, like Zoe. She, what's his name in the movie? I forgot his name.
Jason.
Jason.
Yeah.
And it's like it was so easy. Like, okay, that was it. I was like, what's her name? Okay.
Right, that was it. Yeah,
great job, scientist. You did a great job there.
Right. Well, because to your point, like that's the thing too. I think from the budget standpoint, like you couldn't have like this thing where like half her head was missing and there were wires and stuff.
Right,
it was like, it was more just like, But I mean, the hairdo was a trip because that was like a I don't know. There was like a time when that was like, I remember in school there were young women who would wear like Adidas tracksuits and have their hair like that, have big hoop earrings sometimes, and they would get into fights at the mall. And I don't know what made him decide to go with that hairstyle. Because again, like that was girls that I remember in my school that I definitely they were pretty enough, but yeah, I would be afraid if to date them because they were definitely hardcore. And the fact that Bobby Phillips had that hairdo was interesting.
It was very like floby ponytail man bun thing going there. I was like, what is this? Like, you going to the mall? Right. You going to a nightclub? Like, what? Like, what's like? It was so weird. Like, wait, I was expecting like metal robotic wires. She's just like a random like hot chick going to the nightclub. Like,
Right,
okay,
right, exactly. Yes.
the dominations that's gonna step on me, and I'm gonna enjoy it. Like that's what she looked like.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't know where that all that came from. And to be to give credit to Bobby Phillips, she was a trooper. She
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
because I think the other thing they did too is I think they painted her face like a slightly metallic color. I think
And
too.
they did make her blonder. I
Yeah,
noticed. Yeah. But I wish her acting was a bit different, but it wasn't. She's just a little more like femme fatale.
yeah.
But it was like okay, but I thought she was one of the better actors in the movie. She was trying, and they gave her a lot to do in terms of dialogue. So I thought she handled it well. Because between her and Billy Blanks, that she was the best. She should have won an Oscar. Like
Right.
because Billy Blanks was terrible.
Yes, yeah. I mean, Billy Blanks. I mean, the way. I love the scene when they're in his apartment and she's talking about how she wanted to like look into something more, and he's like, "Do you want some of my muscle pasta?" And it's like,
Oh God,
God.
yeah,
I mean, where are you getting muscles underground? I mean, I don't. Just like yeah, but yeah, like it is kind of funny how she was just sort of like propping him up from an acting standpoint, So, um,
yeah.
and one of the things I was listening to the Bulletproof podcast because they talked about another film that he did called Balance of Power that also I think was also a Jalal Merhi movie. And they were saying like, did Billy Blanks ever play like a romantic, like, did he ever have like a romantic moment in the movies? Like, how a lot of these, obviously Van Damme had his like erotic thriller, like
Mm-hmm.
softcore porn scenes in his movies. But I think this is the closest Billy Blanks has. And him and Bobby Phillips' character are just friends. But I think it's the closest that he has to some kind of romantic entanglement with a female lead.
Yeah, there's no chemistry there.
No,
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 no, not even brother sister chemistry. It was like there was none.
right? Yeah,
But she was trying to make it work. You could tell she was like the one trying to like get something out of him.
right.
But he was very like wooden and stone faced and like it was a joke. I guess he would kind of like smile, but it was like very an awkward smile. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
He was trying to look tough. It was a very odd
no,
performance.
right. I think the best that he did, the best of it was when he and Bolo Young were watching the there's a gang called the Lifers that were fighting
Yes,
the
yes,
Picasso,
yes.
and they were watching
Yeah,
them kill each other, and it seemed like that smile was a good like that whole
yeah. That seemed
interaction.
genuine. That seemed genuine.
Yeah, yeah. But to your point, a lot of it was just like I mean, again, like the fights were good. I mean, maybe that's part of the reason why Merhi did more like training montages and things like that because it's like he knew if Billy Blanks is doing martial arts, that's going to sell the movie more than his acting.
Right. Yeah. Like I'm not surprised he went into Taibo.
Right?
And I'm glad he made his money do that. Like
Yes,
good for you, bro. But
right. I agree.
acting, no, no.
No, I mean the thing is, like the martial arts stuff was great, and you wonder if you know again, like with these movies, you think about like for example, are there ways they could have coached him up, from an acting standpoint? I mean, Donald Dragon Wilson wasn't the best actor, but he definitely was better than Billy Blanks. He could
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
I think Cynthia Rothrock, same thing. She got better
Hmm.
at it. Uh, but yeah, you wonder, and it seemed like the way that companies like PM Entertainment went was they went in a different direction where they were like, well, instead of trying to get a martial artist like Billy Blanks to learn how to act, or even Don the Dragon Wilson or whatever, what if we took like C. Thomas Howell and
Right.
showed him how to fight just enough, and then he can still act? That might be a better bet for us, or Michael Madsen or somebody like that. If we can get one of those names, and that of course, that ends up happening with the Bourne Identity movies, right? Where it's like, oh, we'll
Mm,
show and like pretty much all the Marvel movies, right? They're
right, right.
I don't think any of those are action stars. It's kind of how the system went. That I think people started to learn like it's easier to get an actor to learn how to fight and make it look good than it is to get a fighter to learn how to act, I guess.
But you gotta figure if you can make a cheap movie, you gotta get a fighter before an actor.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Because an actor's gonna want more money. So I
yeah.
I, I understand the business model, but I just thought he wasn't a good actor. Um, but like I said, I thought he added some charm to the movie because it was like because all of them weren't like the greatest actors, but it was fun to watch him try. And, and I've seen worse actors in these movies, so I'm like, you know what? you're bad, but you're not the worst.
Right.
The worst that I've seen. So
Exactly.
I can tell he's trying to be something. He's trying to like do something, but like the action scenes, he was great. But yeah, but like the when he had like emote, like it was just like no, no.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. I think it's seeing him, obviously he's a good skilled martial artist, so that part of it looks great and it's well choreographed and he has some great scenes. But like the acting part, yeah, when he's saying things like, "Hey guys, it's a jungle out there," and he's supposed to be like such
Yeah,
a reverent like coworker thing or something like that, it's like it adds a certain element to the film that like yeah, like obviously like Michael J. White would have read that line better. But
hmm
it might not have worked as well with Michael J. White reading that line better. It's almost like it's better having it missed like that.
yeah, because I feel like he would have been too good for the movie.
Yeah,
So I'm like, you know what? The movie's not the greatest to begin with, so yeah, it's fine.
yeah,
Like everybody's on the same level, it's okay. But yeah, but I kept thinking that because like Michael J. White would have probably killed this movie, but
right. Well,
but at the same time, it's like I'd rather him be in a better movie than this, to be honest.
well,
Showcase his talents so people could see like when he did that Mike Tyson biopic,
oh yeah,
like
yeah,
he was great at that.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like that's the kind of acting you wanted in a movie like this. But at the same time, it's very low budget. Obviously, the acting's not the selling point of this movie. So yeah, get a Belly Blanks to do it.
Well, and the other thing that Michael J. White has started doing is producing his own movies. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of following the Fred Williamson model, where Fred Williamson wasn't getting the
Yeah.
roles that he wanted in the 70s. So in the 80s, he started producing his own films. And I wonder if Michael J. White seems to be doing something similar. I think he's got to deal with stars where
Yeah.
his movies get put on there first. And I think some of the ones like a movie like The Island is one he did recently that he produced on his own. Some of those they definitely look better. They definitely I think being able to control the process a little bit more helps him there because I think it's probably a similar thing to Billy Blanks where it's like Michael J. White's a better actor, but he probably wasn't getting the roles that he thought he should be getting either. So it's like, okay, I'm going to make the roles for myself the way that like Fred Williamson did. Whereas Billy Blanks wouldn't have had that ability to,
No, no.
produce his own
He
movies.
he didn't have that clout in the industry. No.
Yeah,
Like Michael J. White probably worked with so many people that he had friends.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you work with Eric Roberts, like doing a whole bunch of stuff. I'm sure Eric Roberts gave him pointers, like, okay, you do this, you do that. Like he was in the Dark Knight, like he probably knew like people there, like
yeah.
Christopher Nolan, those guys, like he must be friends with them. So, I mean, I'm glad for Michael J. White. Like if I see him in something, I watch him. Like you know what, I like that dude. So, and he's great at like Black Dynamite is like a classic.
Oh,
Like
it is.
so good and so good at that.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at that because it's interesting because it had a limited theatrical release, but he said that he had a whole plan in mind to make the movie a successful theatrical movie. He said he was going to essentially work the Tyler Perry playbook. Because at that time those Medea movies were popular in the theater, and so when he went to Sony with the idea, he had the whole thing mapped out that he was going to essentially follow Tyler Perry's playbook, get the movie in the theaters, make plenty of money, and Sony decided no, we're just going to release it direct to video. So I think it had like a limited theatrical release, but I think of Black Dynamite as probably the best direct to video movie since 2000. I think it's just, but of course it just happens to be direct to video because it was supposed to be theatrical. But it's such a perfect movie on so many levels. That the things that he does in that movie, and I don't know if anybody else could pull that movie off between the martial arts and the comedy and all the other parts of it.
And he got an animated series out of it too. Like, dude, like he made money off of it. So like, great for him. He does like the DC animated stuff too, the voiceover for that.
Yeah.
So he's making money. Like, good for him. He was in Arrow too. I remember him in Arrow.
Right. Yeah.
He was one of the characters. Like he was like the Bronze Tiger.
Yeah.
Like he's good at everything, man. Like I love that dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think in the movies he's doing now, again, like they're more low budget. He's married, and his wife Jillian, she's in a lot of his movies with him now too. He's trained her up on martial arts, and so that kind of adds another element to them. But I mean, he had one that came out last year I haven't seen yet called Exit Protocol with Dolph Lundgren. So I'm curious to see how that one goes. But yeah, he's kind of carved out a good niche for himself. I mean, he talked about some of the things he's been through in the industry. Like, obviously I mentioned a couple of things that I saw. There was an interview he did with Vlad TV that kind of he did a lot of the on YouTube. But one of them he said was he thought he was going to have the Undisputed franchise. So when they did the
Right.
sequels, he said, "Okay, I'm going to be playing that role, the lead role, and these sequels will be me, and I'll just keep making these movies." They made they made part 2 with him and Scott Adkins, and then that was it. They went to Scott Adkins, and he was done with those, and he was like, he kind of just found out like, oh no, they're going with Scott Adkins now, and that's it's kind of what the industry was for him, and he had to start carving out his own path because he wasn't getting the roles he wanted.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? And I love Scott Atkins too, but it's yeah, like that was smart. Like I'm sure he like how long he's been in the business, like the '80s. So I'm sure he's known what to do in that industry, and yeah, that's smart to just make your own stuff, and you'll get, someone's gonna buy it. I mean, he's a name. People know who he is. His face is very recognizable. So and he's done, like you see, he's done a lot of Tyler Perry stuff. So I'm sure he has connections. So yeah, good for him. Like I think they both made the right choices, him and Betty Blank. So
Yeah,
and they both are very successful and very happy with what they got.
yeah. I think it would have been nice to have more Billy Blanks movies, but I think to your point that like with his
There's a limitation. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like do we need more Billy Blank movies?
Exactly. And I think he saw the writing on the wall not long after this movie. Like he didn't do too many movies after this one, and I think he saw kind of what was available to him in the industry and thought, okay, he must have been training people already in the LA area at that time and starts making his videos. He probably knew enough people in the industry that he could get the videos produced, which I think was a big piece of it. But I mean, think of video store shelves. They were, Tybo was everywhere. And I think he played himself. I don't know if he's played himself more than he's played, dramatic characters, because he went through that period of time in the late 90s into the 2000s where he was playing trainers in movies, or he's doing Tybo stuff in movies. And so he definitely really made a name for himself.
Yeah, the last thing I saw him, he had a big role in that Jack and Jill movie.
That's right.
Which was awful.
Right.
I think he got nominated for a Razzie for that too. So
that Billy Blanks did?
Yeah, I think it was like an ensemble Razzie or something. Exactly. He's part of the cast. So
right. Yes, exactly. That's awesome.
So, yeah. But I'm reading that he was also a dancer, so I guess he knew people in the dancing industry also.
Yeah.
So the workout stuff probably helped with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense completely. Yeah. So I still my favorite Razzie moment was when Halle Berry accepted hers for Catwoman with the Oscar for Monster Ball. When she went up to say, that's just the most beautiful thing ever. I think that's very Halle Berry. Like she's just like, hey, I believed in Catwoman. You can make fun of it all you want, but yeah, give me my Razzie. I'll take it. I'll go there and accept it. But
she's another one that struggled and still struggles with roles, because she's black.
Yeah.
And she's an Oscar winner, which tells you like it doesn't matter who you are, and what accolades you get, you're still gonna have issues in the industry because of your color. So,
because that was the thing with her with Catwoman. People were telling her, "Don't do Catwoman. This movie is going to be a bomb. Don't do it." But her mindset was, "I didn't get the part with Storm that I was expecting. That my character was secondary to James Marsden's Cyclops. Like they didn't use me well in those movies. I'm not going to get a lot of opportunities to play a character like this." So I'm going to take it. I'm going to do it. And at least at that point, I agree with her mentality there. I feel like she got some redemption, at least in the John Wick movie, when she got to play that part.
I wish she had gotten a spinoff.
Yeah.
She's in the new movie Crime 101 with Chris Hemsworth and Mark Ruffalo. She's excellent in that movie.
So I haven't seen that one yet.
That's another one you should watch. It's very long though. It's like over 2 hours.
Okay, but
it's a neo film noir.
Yeah.
But she has a monologue in that movie that's like everyone in theater was clapping.
Really? Okay, she's like okay.
She's good.
Then I'll have to check that out. Yeah, because I did appreciate that when I saw her in John Wick. I thought, okay, this is she definitely deserves this after Catwoman, and I guess Days of Future Past, she got a little bit of a bump back from there. But yeah, to your point, it's like I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is trying to change those things a bit, but it's for the actors that came before, right? It doesn't necessarily do them any good now. That things were how that like I mean, hopefully Halle Berry has more of a chance to do even come back and do Storm again and do something with that.
We don't even know she's in the movie.
Yeah, yeah,
It's she should be. I mean, if you're gonna do all the X-Men, she has to be there.
yeah, yeah.
But it's I always like Halle Berry. I always rooted for her, and I saw her in that, like I said, Crime One-on-One. I was like very happy to see her, and she was excellent in it. I was like, okay, give this woman some roles, like give her something. Like she's an Oscar winner for a reason.
Yes. Yeah.
So like it's like she's older now. I guess that's a part of it too. But it's like she still looks damn good. She's like probably like 58 years old. She looks damn good.
Yeah.
And so it's like it doesn't it doesn't matter. Like you could be black, you could be talented. It doesn't matter. You're black or you're Latino, whatever. You have less roles than the white person. Like Nicole Kidman gets all these roles.
Right.
And it's like the same damn movie every single time.
Exactly. Yeah.
But she's white.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like that's an issue that they need to work on.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Aiza Gonzalez talked about like how she would try out for roles and they'd be like, well, we don't want we don't want this role to be as sexy, and she's like, well, wow, who said I was going to play it sexy? Who said But it's like, oh well, because she's a Latina, that's
right.
And it's like that's one of the things I think that was great about having Ana de Armas play the ballerina, is that character, other than that one scene where she goes into that ice club and she's got like kind of the sexy dress on and everything like that, for the most part she's not really she's wearing like functional outfits and going and killing a bunch of people. And I thought that was really great that they went that direction with her. And hopefully, despite the fact that movie didn't do as well in the theater, hopefully they bring her back and then maybe have Halle Berry's character play a part with her or something like that.
I mean, it did like John Wick. You might as well bring these girls in there.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I think Ana de Armas is going to be another one that's going to have an issue, I think, too.
Yeah.
Because, Latina, obviously, as she gets older, I mean, who knows what's going to happen. Like, Jennifer Lopez, I mean, she's still a big star, but, like, do you see her get a lot of acting roles? Not really.
Right. Well, and the roles that a lot of times, they're things that she's a producer
producing,
on, or
right,
or something.
Like what was that strip movie that she did? What's it called? I don't remember. But the one she wanted the Oscar for, but she didn't get it.
Right.
So that I think that kind of like messed her up in a lot of ways, like because she was good at that. But yeah, so it's a shady business. It's a shady business. It doesn't matter if it's 1993 or 2026. So
yeah, no, and I think it is one of those things that we look at and say, okay, well, maybe it's better now because there is, this wider gap. But it's like, I was at a thing for that company Salesforce a couple of years ago, and Viola Davis and Spike Lee were doing this talk about, the industry, and AI and stuff like that. And both of them said AI is not the problem, right? Like AI, for black actors in the business, we don't care about AI. We care about like getting roles. Like we care about getting roles that are substantial roles that pay, that we're not like a supporting character on a sitcom. So we only get like paid per episode, but like actually getting, like a substantial number. The AI thing doesn't matter to us because, we've been fighting for roles before this. There's fundamental changes that have to happen beyond whether AI is going to come in and fake actors or something like that.
It's the people in charge.
Yeah.
It's an older generation, whiter generation who sees the colored people as the supporting actors, or like the best friend or the villain or whatever. Like it still have that mentality of like the 80s where all the people of color were the villains.
Yeah.
So it's a shame. Like there's so many talented actors out there that are people of color and they don't get the roles unless they do like a Tyler Perry movie where they get all those. Or Jordan Peele was pretty much saying he's going to cast all people of color in his movies because they don't get the opportunity to be in a lot of movies. So it's a shame. Like I hope things change in the future, but with AI, who knows? Like the first AI actress was white.
Yeah.
So that tells you right there, like that's their mentality.
Right. Well, and the thing that's scary, I think, is thinking about this situation between Netflix and Paramount. That I do, I think is one of the concerns people have is that if it's
Hmm.
Paramount, because
Right.
they're pushing this more conservative thing, there is a sense that like, yeah, it's going to be, kind of more of like what CBS is, which is just whiter procedural kind of things, where maybe you have, a person of color who's maybe like a supporting character, but it's mostly, and I guess like Shamar Moore was the star of the SWAT show or something like that. So it's not
Yeah,
completely,
but that's Zoe Zidana, who did was it the Lion?
yeah,
Was that
that's
called
right.
that movie? The show they did? Yeah, she's the main star in that.
That's
I
right.
guess as long as you're safe, I guess they see it. Oh, you're safe.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
you could be a star.
Yeah.
But if you're like a Taraji P Henson, no, we don't want you.
Right.
Because you're very vocal about things, so we can't have you here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I guess the same thing with, yeah, like they have specific roles for what they see someone like, okay, Viola Davis can do this, but maybe we don't,
Right.
and I definitely, I know what you mean there. It's like, yeah, the person like, so obviously like Zoe Saldana, she's in like 4 like
Mm-hmm.
major franchises, I think, right? Like it's the Avatar, the
All right.
MCU, Star
Yeah.
Trek. There's a 4th one I thought that she was in too that was like another big one. I'm drawing a blank. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was just those 3.
It's just three. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
three.
but she's. I think Zendaya has the potential to be,
Mm-hmm.
kind of on that level as Zoe Saldana to be like there. But like to your point, it's like in some cases almost like it's an exception that proves the rule, right? That like okay,
Right. Right. Yeah.
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 I always think about it with basketball or with sports, where like there's a woman who does color commentating, Doris Burke, who she'll do basketball games, and I always kind of see her as like she's kind of like this thing that like when for guys that are like sexist and don't think women should be calling basketball games, they'll use the fact that well I like Doris Burke as a way to say like I don't it's not that I dislike all women or something like that, kind of that kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think they'll it's a similar thing. Like, oh, I'm not racist. I like I like Zoe Saldana and the Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that. It's like that kind of thing. Yeah. There are a lot of racist white people who said they voted for Barack Obama. They'll tell they'll say that to
Right.
people.
Right. Yeah.
It's like
I vote for Obama. Yeah.
right, yeah. And I think it's kind of that. Yeah, it's kind of that same thing. That like yeah, we need more representation because I think again it only helps when you have that kind of thing. Again, Ana de Armas is someone that if it wasn't the John, that like Chad Stahelski and company, like looking for someone unique to put in the role, or looking for someone, looking based just strictly on what they, someone that they think is good enough to do the role. Um, she might not get that role. It might be like, oh, we need, Scarlett Johansson, we need somebody, whatever that we think is, safe or more traditional or whatever. But Ana de Armas knocked it out of the park. I think it's the other part of it too. Is I think she looked at it as like, this is my chance to do a role like this. I'm not just a, hot woman in a James Bond movie. I'm the
Right.
star. I'm the one who's killing everybody. I'm the one who's kicking everybody's ass. I'm the one, slicing people up with axes and shooting flamethrowers. And she went with it. She hit it out of the park and did her thing with it. And so it's like we need more. That's probably part of the reason why we need more independent studios like Lionsgate or things like that. People making movies because they're going to maybe platform more people, I think, or give more people chances.
Yeah. It's very interesting how this business works and why this kind of mentality has lasted for so long, considering um how big diversity is now. Like just like you said, Marvel is like very diverse cast of different like nationalities and different people, men and women. And but that's seen as woke, right? Like it's ridiculous. Like that's not even woke. That's just real life.
Right.
We hang out with people of different nationalities, different colors, and different genders, and just different personalities. Like that's not woke. That's a real life thing. Um, now, if you try to force like a message in a certain way, then okay, that's a little bit different. But if you're just having them there because they're just there and they're just the characters, then what's the problem?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if Halle Berry role that maybe Nicole Kidman is getting, like, if the race doesn't really matter, then why are you not picking Halle Berry?
Yeah. Right. No, I think that's a great point. I mean, and again, to your point that like we're still doing this today. It's like
Right.
go back to the 80s when Fred Williamson was making movies, and it's like, oh wow, I'm getting Richard Roundtree in my movie. I shouldn't be able to get Richard Roundtree. I mean, it's a
Look at Keen Ivy Waves.
yeah,
Doing that Living Color, all that stuff. I'm gonna get you, sucker. All that stuff. Like
yeah,
scary movie that he did later on. Like it's that's what he's supposed to do.
yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. It's like Richard Roundtree was like, he was probably a leading man on the level of like a Richard Gere,
Mm-hmm.
and Fred Williamson's like, I mean, he's not getting the roles he's supposed to, so I guess I'll cast him in my movie, right? I'll put him, in my low budget, movie, whatever, that get, fending with Italian money or whatever. And it's like, yeah, we're still kind of seeing these things today, and it is, yeah, it's like, and I think it's also this idea that like, okay, well, if you think of Samuel L. Jackson, where Marvel, I guess, right, they created a new version of Nick Fury based off of Samuel L. Jackson, and then they were able to cast him in the role. And I remember when Martin Scorsese was complaining about the Marvel movies and stuff like that, Samuel L. Jackson came to their defense, and I think part of it was the fact that it's like, the best I can do in one of your movies, Marty, is I get killed in Goodfellas, right? And somebody makes a joke about taking that coffee to go. Whereas Marvel is setting me up for 10, 12 movies playing this character that's like a pivotal character in all these films. So it's, and I think you can make that case about Martin Scorsese, for all of his movies, right? It's like,
Right.
and I think that's part of it. It's like, yeah, from the Marvel standpoint, they're like, no, we're going to do these different things here, give more people an opportunity. And I mean, they could still even be doing better on some levels, but I think it's still that point that like, yeah, I mean, that's the thing that Samuel Jackson says about Quentin Tarantino using the N-word in his movies. He's like, yeah, he uses the N-word a lot, but if you watch my character in his movies, I'm usually the smartest person in the movie, and I don't always get that opportunity when I'm doing a movie.
It's like what he did with Pam Grier.
Yeah.
Jackie Brown. Yeah. I mean, the same thing about Tarantino. There's a lot of things to say about him.
Right. Yes.
But at least his casts are kind of diverse, and they all have a role, and they all have important roles, and not just like side characters. So it's like, okay, well, at least he's doing more for the industry than a lot of other people are.
Yeah.
So it's I just feel like everyone should have an opportunity. If you're a good actor, you should get any role you want.
Yeah.
It's just how I see it. Like, I mean, I don't think Nicole Kidman's a bad actress, but I just tired of seeing everything. Like, it's like, okay, why is she the lone white woman getting all these roles? Like, give a different white woman something too. Like, I don't care. Like, somebody else.
Right. No.
Anybody. Yeah. I don't even hate Nicole Kidman. I'm just tired of seeing her. Like, not only movies, but TV shows, streaming shows. Like, girl, like.
Yeah. No, I agree.
When do you have the time?
Because the other piece of it is that, like you think about like in England. I remember Tandy Newton when she did Chronicles of Riddick. They asked her about that, like, "Oh, why? What made you want to do this role?" She's like, "Well, in England, every like third or fourth movie is some kind of Victorian picture where they won't cast me in the movie." And so it's harder for me to find roles. I think Idris Elba, right? He had to come here and do The Wire.
It's another one, yeah.
Yeah, and so in America we don't do Victorian movies. We don't do so it shouldn't be that hard. And granted, like England, I think part of it, those Victorian movies, they do that as an excuse, I think, to freeze out actors. But same idea. Like there's no excuse in America. And granted, yes, getting Idris Elba over here to do The Wire was our gain, that with England not casting him in enough stuff over there. But yeah, it's kind of like, I guess, I don't know, but there's no excuse, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely correct. It's like the whole James Bond thing with Elba. Like, it's like, why can't he be James Bond? Oh, but he's black?
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Right.
Is he British? Okay, great.
Yes. Well, cause I watched the early James Bonds because they're all on Netflix, and people were freaked out at the time in the '60s about Scots, right? Scottish playing James Bond, and you could hear his accent. And it's like that accent was probably great, So it's like, but they did it, and people accepted it. Now they think he's the best James Bond. Ian Fleming rewrote the character so he had Scottish heritage because he liked it so much. So it's like, yeah, to your point, like, and I mean, who else? I can't think of anybody who would be a better James Bond than Idris Elba. If you just kind of look at sort of what they look for in that role, and and they're casting it.
I say the only ones I can see is maybe him and Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, yeah.
Other than that, I don't really think it's gonna work.
Yeah, though I feel like Elba can pull off the suit better than Hardy. I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, but
no,
yeah.
I think he deserves the role. I think why not? Like, try something different if it works.
Yeah,
like you don't know.
Yeah, I think it would be perfect. I think he'd be great. I think I thought that when Daniel Craig was Bond, and they were like, okay, who's next up? It felt like it's got to be Idris Elba. It felt like there's no other way to go. That just based off of and I mean I don't know if you would want to do it necessarily, because I've heard it's like kind of a big commitment that like you've got to sign on to a bunch of pictures, but I don't know. I feel like he probably would want to do it.
But now they want someone younger because I don't know. They're trying to age him out, I guess.
Yeah. So
now they say like Jacob Elordi maybe. I'm like, I don't know about that, but okay.
Right, exactly.
An Australian who's not even British. He's Australian, but that doesn't matter, Because that's not important. It's because he's white.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's the other piece of it, right? Is the excuse about the age thing that like it's
he's too old. Like Daniel Craig wasn't a young guy,
right? No, neither was Pierce Brosnan.
Or
Timothy Dalton. They were all Roger Moore. I mean, think about how old Roger Moore was for those later ones in particular. Yeah.
Grandpa having sex with hot young women.
Yeah,
living the life.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, just think about how Idris Elba was in Hobbs and Shaw.
So good,
so
good.
I mean, overall, that movie was it was an interesting entry in the series, but he was a fantastic baddie in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always liked him. So, like, I was hoping he'd get it, but then they want to make him younger.
Yeah,
like, okay, whatever.
No, I think they're
this excuse. That's an excuse. You don't just want to hire. That's the next way to say it. We don't want to hire you.
Yeah. They're just afraid, and I just I think there's always got to be someone who takes the step and says, no, we're going to do it. We're going to we're going to make this. And I think again, James Bond is one that's like kind of almost like a perfect one to do it with, because it's a character that obviously it's not the same James Bond that was born in 1920 that the character was, right? Because he'd be 100 now. So it's obviously,
right.
The British Secret Service is replacing him with new James Bonds. So, it should be that, anybody can play it, play that part. So yeah, it's kind of too bad. But, I mean, one thing that would be kind of interesting is if people made, because like, remember when the first James Bond came out, people were making all kinds of like other spy movies. It would be interesting if they made a whole other spy series that had him featured in it, that would kind of like, competed against the James Bond movies.
That could work. Yeah. That could work. I mean, Netflix would do it.
Yeah.
I mean, and more eyes will be on Netflix. So
right, exactly. More people will watch it on Netflix. Then is it Prime that's supposed to get the new? James Bond
Amazon.
movie?
Amazon owns the rights to it.
Yeah. So
MGM.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Yeah, for sure. Well, Freddie, anything else on TC 2000 that we forgot to mention?
No, this was just a very fun movie. I will actually watch more Billy Blank just to see if they get better than this. I don't know. Yeah. I'm sure you know more than me.
No, I think the two that he does with Roddy Piper are definitely. I think you'd enjoy those ones for sure. And then he does some other ones with Merhi. I mean, I would say I don't know if better is the right word compared to this one, because this is just a fun time. But I think they're more fun times. The other ones also, he plays a really great baddie in a movie called King of the Kickboxers. That was a harder one to find, but he plays a great baddie, and that was Lauren Avedon's the hero for that one. But yeah, so yeah, if you're looking for more of his stuff, but I think the two Roddy Piper ones are a good place to go next.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Anything that you wanted to plug before we wrap up?
Just the usual fullmoviereviews.net is still my blog, and there's been stuff being added to the blog finally. I've been reviewing more than usual lately, so that's been good for me. I also have a Letterboxd Fred the Wolf. I'm actually doing a 1986 project because my first theatrical experience was in 1986, watching The Fly. So I'm trying to watch every movie that was theatrically released in 1986, and it's been a task. My goal this year was to watch less movies and binge more TV shows because I've been so behind. But I've watched pretty much 70 movies since this year has started.
Wow.
So I am out of my mind right now.
No, that's good.
Plus, I'm doing another podcast where I'm supposed to review all the 1981 slashers. That's like 25 of them. So I'm like out of my mind.
Oh, now is that podcast? Is that coming out?
Is 101 with Dr. AC. We're doing recording in March and we're doing one I think in May.
Okay.
It has to be two parts because so many movies. But yeah, it's been a task. And plus I'm watching new movies in the theater. Yeah. So that's kind of like, oh God, I have no time for anything. It's wild.
Yeah.
And my Blue Sky is Fred the Wolf, same thing. FredTheWolf.BlueSky.social. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 'cause like last week, I realized when I went to do the Letterboxd last 4 watched, that I hadn't watched 4 movies in that week. I'd only watched 3. And I was like, well, do I want to post it again, even though like one of the movies is the same as before? Yeah, because I didn't, I try to only do it if I've watched 4 new movies. But yeah, in your case, you're always, the last 4 watched is just a sample of what you've seen that week.
I'll say this, like the 1986 stuff is a lot of them I have not watched ever, so that's been fun. There's some that I have not seen in a long time. Like I just watched recently FX.
Oh yeah,
first time in like decades.
That was 86. I didn't realize that was that early.
Yeah, it was February of 86. It still holds up pretty good.
Yeah.
Iron Eagle I watched in a long ass time. I haven't seen that in a long time. The first Youngblood, the original Youngblood, Troll, the first Troll. Down on Beverly Hills. There's a lot of good stuff. This month in February, I have stuff to watch. Rewatch The Hitcher and The First House.
Oh,
that's coming, and Wildcats.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Pretty in Pink hits 40. So that's another one. So there's a lot of good stuff coming up.
Wow, I know. Yes, I'll have to take a look at some of those because some of those are going to be in the theater because
Pretty in Pink just was re-released I think a week ago.
Wow.
It was actually like in the box office. Like it made money.
I saw that one somewhat recently. So I think I saw that one like 5 or 6 years ago. So that one's a little bit more recent than some of the other ones. But like FX, I haven't seen that in forever.
TerraVision just had an anniversary.
Wow.
We watched that. Yeah, that was a good time. So like Delta Force. We watched that. Yeah, so some good stuff coming up.
Yeah, excellent. Well, yeah, I'll definitely have to check those out, and definitely, keep an eye out for your podcast when that comes out.
I'll definitely plug it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that sounds great. Well, thank you again for coming on, Freddie. This is another really fun conversation. Always great to talk about movies, and especially to introduce you to some Billy Blanks. I think that was great as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's always good to meander with you because we always like go off track all the time, but it's always a fun time talking about movies with you because you kind of we're on the same wavelength when it comes to stuff like that. So it's great.
Exactly. No, I agree. And hopefully people listening are on the same wavelength as us as well. So they would enjoy it as well. Perfect. Well, thank you again, and thank you for listening. We'll be back soon. Bye, everyone.